Chapter 164. You dare lie to me? Little Mute was still expressionless, but his arrogant voice was about to explode. I didn't lie to you. Strictly speaking, you're the one who lied to me. Yi Jioge looked at Little Mute with an accusatory gaze and said without any trace of politeness, I provided you with a place to eat and work, I also used spirit beast pills to exchange for insects, and I even saved the life of your subordinates, yet you schemed to cheat me of my spirit beast pills. Who is the one who is sorry? Yi Jioge's words were the truth. Even Luo Tian felt guilty after hearing it, not to mention Little Mute. No matter how unreasonable he was, he had to admit that Yi Jioge was right. If Yi Jioge hadn't let him raise a poison earth dragon and traded spirit beast pills for insect parasites, his life parasite probably wouldn't have awakened yet, let alone come to Alchemy City. Yi Jioge saw that Little Mute had loosened up, so he slowly said, Little Mute, since we have a common enemy, then we can be friends. How about we be honest with each other and speak frankly? If you want spirit beast pills in the future, I can give you a friendship price. Spirit beast pills weren't hard to refine, but they couldn't be given away for free. Little Mute's indifferent face finally showed some emotion. His arrogant voice was no longer as arrogant as before. He asked, how do you want to be honest? First tell me your name. Yi Jioge felt that exchanging names was the first step of friendship. Little Mute hesitated before reluctantly saying, my name is Junichen. Such a refined name didn't match with Little Mute. No wonder he didn't want to call it that. Do you have an opinion on my name? Junichen immediately sensed something was wrong and felt like he was about to explode. No, not at all. Yi Jioge shook her head and decisively changed the topic. I was thinking, you red-clothed Miao people are so powerful, why were you killed by bloodthirsty sect? Junichen kept a straight face and didn't make a sound. His black eyes were like two black holes, emitting a ruthless and dark aura. It was clear that this memory was very painful to him, so painful that he could go berserk at any time. Yi Jioge suddenly regretted bringing up Junichen's sad memories. She was about to change the topic when Junichen said coldly, Luo Tian, speak. Yes. Luo Tian answered and then said, the bloodthirsty ancestor of the bloodthirsty sect is a sinister and cunning man. We don't know where he got a kind of spiritual poison that can restrain our Gu technique. He poisoned our drinking water when we were worshipping the Gu god and killed us when we lost our power. Although Luo Tian's words were very simple, the stench of blood contained within still assaulted Yi Jioge. However, what Yi Jioge could not figure out was, why would the people from the bloodthirsty sect attack the Bloodcloak Miao tribe? The bloodthirsty sect used blood as their cultivation method. The blood-clothed Miao clansmen used their own bodies to raise Gu, their blood was not pure, they should not have become their target. Luo Tian hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he still revealed the secret of the blood-clothed Miao tribe. So it turned out that their blood-clothed Miao people branch was split off from the southern border. They found a small spirit vein in a mountain peak and set up camp there to cultivate and spread their roots. After more than 100 years of operation, the blood-clothed Miao tribe cultivated the Spider King from the demonic beast Snow Spider. Every generation's leader would sign a contract with the Spider King, asking for its protection. Junichen was the son of the previous generation's leader, and was also the most talented genius in raising Gu in the blood-clothed Miao tribe. At such a young age, he had already cultivated his natal Gu to the 5th level. The blood-clothed Miao tribe had high hopes for him, hoping that he could truly subdue the Spider King. Originally, Junichen and the Spider King had already cultivated a good relationship, and had started to slowly feed it with blood. Just as he was about to sign a contract with the Spider King, he did not expect an unexpected disaster to befall him. The bloodthirsty ancestor brought his subordinates to attack their camp, and not only did they forcibly occupy the spirit vein, they even imprisoned the Spider King. I see. Yi Jioge was curious before, where did the Empress get the king poison of the snow spider to harm Dongfang, Quebec? One must know that the Snow Spider King lived in the Wasteland continent at the eastern border. That was the territory of the demon race, and spiritualists entering there were simply courting death. Now, she finally knew that it was from the blood-clothed Miao tribe. Alright, I have answered your question honestly. How do you intend to give me the friendship price for the spirit beast pill? Zhu Nichen's arrogant voice hid a trace of impatience. Tell me first, what can you use to buy my spirit beast pill? Yi Jiuge looked like she was willing to negotiate. I can help you refine goo. Zhu Nichen's voice was arrogant and confident. This place is not Miaojiang. Yi Jiuge expressed that there was no market for goo refinement in a spiritualist's territory. I can help you kill people. Zhu Nichen's voice started to show some hesitation. The people I want to kill are no longer in this world. Yi Jiuge expressed that he had a hand and a knife, he did not need anyone else. What do you want? The little tsundere finally exploded. I just want to ask, what can you use to buy my spirit beast pill? Yi Jiuge spread his hands, looking innocent. Just as Zhu Nichen was about to pounce on Yi Jiuge and bite her to death, Luo Tian spoke, Miss Yi, when I escaped with the little master, we had nothing except ourselves. Then sell yourselves to me. This was Yi Jiuge's goal, but he could not say it so bluntly, in case they turned hostile. Thus, Yi Jiuge changed his method and asked, then what do you plan to do? Luo Tian pondered for a moment, then said cautiously, it's true that the bloodthirsty sect is our enemy, but they are now dealing with you and your companions. I believe that no one understands the methods of the bloodthirsty sect better than us. If you need our help, I am willing to work for you for a year as long as you give me a bottle of spirit beast pill. I remember that you still owe me the consultation fee, right? It was not that Yi Jiuge did not want to let go of this debt of gratitude, but the blood-clothed Miaojiang tribe was famous for being a weirdo. It was said that after they repaid the debt of gratitude, they would turn hostile and take revenge, just like Gu, they would bite back. Yi Jiuge did not want to use the secret method given by Zishang to subdue Zhu Nichen as a big Gu, so he could only make an issue of the debt of gratitude. He would let them work for a few years, and when he became stronger, it would not matter if they bite back. When Luo Tian heard the two words, consultation fee, he fell silent. That's right, his life was saved by Yi Jiuge, and now asking her to use spirit beast pills to hire him was indeed contradictory. You saved him, so his life is yours from now on. Zhu Nichen was a person who was clear about his likes and dislikes, selling out his only remaining subordinate with one sentence. Chapter 165. Master. Luo Tian thought he was abandoned, his face immediately turned pale. She treats her subordinates well, you go and work for her, let her use spirit beast pills as a reward, then bring it back to me. Zhu Nichen said as a matter of course. During this period of time, he was not only rearing worms, he was also secretly observing Yi Jiuge's character. Ever since Yi Jiuge used spirit beast pills to help Yi Yu buy worm goo, he knew that Yi Jiuge was a good person, very generous to his own people. Yes. Luo Tian heard that his little master did not abandon him, but only wanted him to work for others to earn spirit beast pills. He immediately nodded. Little tsundere, is it really good for you to send your subordinates to my place? Yi Jiuge really wanted to complain. After Zhu Nichen sold his subordinates, he continued to sell himself. As for me, a bottle of spirit beast pills to help you kill one person, this is already my bottom line, I will not work for you. He was the most orthodox bloodline of the blood cloak Miao people, shouldering the hopes of all the clansmen. It was impossible for him to be someone else's subordinate. I said, I don't need you to help me kill. Yi Jiuge shook his head. Zhu Nichen's big black eyes immediately flashed a ruthless light. He hated to be rejected. Not to mention that Yi Jiuge rejected him again and again. Fortunately, when Zhu Nichen was about to turn hostile, Yi Jiuge added, how about this, you help me do one thing, I will give you a bottle of spirit beast pills, how about that? Juni Chen silently counted with his fingers, feeling that this deal was reasonable. He nodded. All right, tell me, what do you want me to do? I haven't thought about it yet. I will give you a bottle as a deposit first. Yi Jioge took out a bottle of spirit beast pills and threw it to Juni Chen. Juni Chen immediately took it, opened it and smelled it. It was indeed a good medicine. Luo Tian, from now on, you are my subordinate, is that right? Yi Jioge turned his head and asked Luo Tian. Yes, just tell me what you need, master. Luo Tian placed his right hand in front of his chest and bowed slightly. His attitude was still very serious. Yi Jioge glanced at Juni Chen. Juni Chen was expressionless, silently counting his fingers in his heart, calculating how to eat these spirit beast pills. He did not have any objection to Luo Tian calling Yi Jioge master. This attitude wasn't normal. Yi Jioge thought for a moment, then asked Luo Tian, the natal goo in your body, does it have to obey Juni Chen? Yes, the natal goo in the young master's body is the most powerful one in the blood-clothed Miao tribe. Everyone has to listen to him. Luo Tian did not hide anything. F***ck. Yi Jioge wanted to vomit blood. Luo Tian said that he would sell his life for him, but in the end, his life was in someone else's hands. What kind of logic was this? However, what displeased her the most was the way Luo Tian addressed him. He called her master and Juni Chen young master. Those who didn't know better would think that Juni Chen was her son. Call me young miss from now on. Yi Jioge decided to keep his distance from Juni Chen. Alright. This was not a problem for Luo Tian. Yi Jioge composed himself and asked another question. Why does your master care so much about spirit beast pills? In fact, she already had a guess in her heart, but she still wanted to clarify it. Because the spirit beast pill you refined has a great effect on repairing our life insect, Luo Tian replied seriously. Originally, his vital goo had already entered a state of suspended animation and could only recover by devouring other goo worms. But there was no one refining goo in Thunder Country. At that time, he thought that he was dead for sure, but who would have thought that he would meet Yi Jioge, and even his human goo was saved by her. Alright, take this bottle, treat it as this month's monthly allowance. Yi Jioge also threw a bottle of spirit beast pills to Luo Tian. She was quite satisfied with Luo Tian's attitude. Although this lad looked like an unruly barbarian, his temper was quite good, especially when compared to Juni Chen. Yi Jioge had always been a generous person. Before she rode a horse, she would first feed the horse grass. Many thanks. Luo Tian received the spirit beast pills and was about to keep them, but was stopped by Yi Jioge. I gave you the spirit beast pills to help you recover your strength quickly, so that you can work for me, not to let you earn it for free. That's right, cast a long line to catch a big fish. Juni Chen expressed his approval, then ordered Luo Tian, eat. Little master, you can't speak the truth so carelessly. Luo Tian felt like crying. When they broke through the encirclement, the old clan leader was right to tell little master to shut up and pretend to be mute. Seeing Yi Jioge's face darken, Luo Tian immediately made up his mind. For the little master's sake, he had to gain a foothold with Yi Jioge. In this case, he had to recover his strength quickly. Otherwise, forget about helping, he might even have to ask Yi Jioge to save him instead. Luo Tian quickly swallowed the spirit beast pills, then said to Yi Jioge, eldest miss, if I'm not wrong, the bloodthirsty ancestor sent his disciple to Alchemy City to kill people, not just to take the spirit roots of those martial practitioners. He must have a bigger goal. That's right, the blood fury skill he cultivates is about to level up. The blood and spirit roots of those martial practitioners are not enough for him. Juni Chen's voice was cold, his dark eyes incomparably cold. Blood fury skill? What the hell is that? Yi Jioge's heart skipped a beat when she heard this name, and she hurriedly asked. Juni Chen kept a straight face and did not answer. Luo Tian took the initiative to explain, the Blood Fury skill is the bloodthirsty ancestor's personal skill. Every time he levels up, he needs not only a large amount of blood, but also someone with a similar cultivation level as him to act as a primer. The last time the bloodthirsty ancestor ascended, he used the blood of their old clan leader. However, there was one thing that even the bloodthirsty ancestor hadn't thought of. The old clan leader's blood had a relationship with his successor, Junichen. After the bloodthirsty ancestor absorbed the old clan leader's blood to level up, Junichen learned many of his secret skills. That bloodthirsty ancestor doesn't just have a strong cultivation level, he also has a secret skill, which is to use his own blood essence to cultivate a kind of blood bead. Every one of his direct disciples has this blood bead. As long as they take it at a critical moment, they can borrow the bloodthirsty ancestor's cultivation level to explode with shocking potential. At the time, some of our clansmen who weren't poisoned fought against them, and they all died under this move. A pained expression flashed across Luo Tian's face. He had participated in that battle as well. That opponent had clearly looked weak, but after he had been knocked down, his cultivation level had suddenly skyrocketed, and he had even ambushed him when he wasn't paying attention. Yi Jiuge's heart immediately jumped. If that was the case, then Bai Songling, Wan Xiang, and Yi Yu were all in danger. "Come, let's go find Wan Xiang and the others first," Yi Jiuge said without hesitation. They knew too little about the bloodthirsty sect, and their previous preparations were far from enough. They had to revise their plans. Chapter 166. It was a moonlit night, but the forest was still dark. Yi Jiuge was drawing circles on the ground, thinking about a very important problem. Though she shouted to meet up with Wan Xiang, Bai Songling, and Yi Yu, they weren't in Alchemy City. She couldn't find them. But it wasn't like she couldn't find them. Wan Xiang's letter said that there was red clay on the souls of the dead martial artists. She should be able to find them if she followed this clue. Unfortunately, it was a waste of time. Luo Tian stood to the side, silently guarding Yi Jiuge like a statue. On the fifth sigh, she couldn't help but ask, "Eldest miss, I heard that you have a brother called Yi Yu who also has a poisonous earth dragon parasite cultivated by Master?" "Yes." Yi Jiuge nodded. "Why? Your parasites can communicate with each other?" If that was the case, it would save her a lot of effort. "I can give it a try," Luo Tian said cautiously. "Then hurry up and try." Yi Jiuge stood up and urged Luo Tian. Luo Tian opened his palm, and the red poisonous earth dragon goo ran out of his sleeve and obediently lay on his palm. Luo Tian closed his eyes and mumbled something, but no sound came out. The red poison earth dragon parasite's two small eyes were rolling around, and its body was also moving around Luo Tian's palm. It looked like it was looking for Yi Yu's direction. "Little Junjun, when did you raise this parasite?" Yi Jiuge felt that this poisonous earth dragon was not bad. It was stronger than Yi Yu's. If he could get a few for Wan Xiang and the others, he wouldn't have to worry about losing contact. "Don't call me Little Junjun." Junichen was expressionless, but his voice was filled with anger. Junichen is too hard to pronounce. Plus, even the first name makes us seem like strangers. Yi Jiuge giggled, not afraid of Junichen's anger at all. To be honest, Junichen's expressionless and angry look was quite cute after a while. "Then call me Little Mute." Junichen held back his anger. For the sake of the spirit beast pill, he endured it. "But you're not mute." Yi Jiuge continued to tease Junichen. "Damn woman, how dare you tease me?" Junichen was about to explode. Fortunately, Luo Tian finally opened his eyes and said in a deep voice, "Big Miss, Lil Red has found Yi Yu's location. He's not in a good condition, so we should hurry over." Little Red was the poisonous earth dragon goo in his possession. "Let's go." Yi Jiuge couldn't be bothered to tease Juni Chen anymore. Luo Tian immediately ordered Lil, Red, go. The red poisonous earth dragon Gu spread its cicada's thin wings and flew toward the east. Yi Jiuge and the others quickly followed behind it. Dawnfall Peak, in a dilapidated temple that had not been repaired for a long time, the statue of the Earth Lord that was worshipped was already incomparably modeled. The corners of the roof were covered with cobwebs, and there was a thick layer of dust on the ground. Sunlight shone through the hole in the roof, illuminating a small part of the floor in the middle, but the surroundings were still very dark. Yi Yu held his breath and hid in the shadows on top of the roof beam. He still had 2 clear heart pills in his mouth. These were the last of his stock. Ever since he found out that Yi Jiuge had been framed by the Crown Prince, he desperately searched for Lu Yunfei, wanting to capture her and bring her to justice to clear eldest Mrs. name. With great difficulty, he finally reached the vicinity of this dilapidated temple, but he didn't expect to fall into Lu Yunfei's trap and be hit by a sneak attack from behind. At the last moment, Yi Yu snuck into the shadows and silently waited for an opportunity to escape. Little Yi Yu, be good and open the door. Quickly open it, big sister wants to come in. Lu Yunfei's sickeningly sweet voice resounded from outside the dilapidated temple. Then, there was a loud bang. The wooden door of the dilapidated temple flew up and crashed to the ground, raising a large amount of dust. Lu Yunfei was still dressed in a pink dress, and the hem of the dress was embroidered with colorful butterflies, which danced along with her movements. She slowly walked into the dilapidated temple, her nimble and light footsteps resembling that of a nimble butterfly. That pair of eyes that flashed with a faint red light swept across the dilapidated temple, and she laughed to herself, "Little Yi Yu, quickly come out, big sister will make you very happy." Her words were filled with the feeling of spring, and the whole dilapidated temple was filled with an atmosphere that made people's hearts beat faster. Yi Yu stood in the shadows, and he only felt that Lu Yunfei's sickeningly sweet voice was like a white feather, tickling him from the bottom of his feet all the way to the tip of his heart, and it was unbearably itchy. Especially when Lu Yunfei's sneak attack just now, he could not help but feel a burning sensation on his back. The boiling heat spread from his back to his abdomen, and it was unbearably hot. Yi Yu was very clear that he had been drugged by Lu Yunfei. Unfortunately, his poisonous earth dragon parasite had been injured by Lu Yunfei, and there was no way for her to detoxify it for him. He could only rely on the tranquil heart pill in his mouth to resist this unbearable lust. Lu Yunfei strolled around the dilapidated temple, but she didn't hear Yi Yu's voice. She felt some admiration for Yi Yu in her heart because she couldn't lure him out even after using her charm technique. He was indeed worthy of being the man that she left for last. Not to mention other things, this degree of tranquil heart pill was definitely comparable to Lu Xiaohui. Since she couldn't lure this little guy out with her carnal desire, she would use another method. Lu Yunfei's eyes turned, and she took out a piece of white skin from her storage pouch. After shaking it open, it turned out to be the appearance of a woman. It was a complete piece of human skin. "Little Yi Yu, this is the skin that I just peeled off from a beauty last night. Do you like it? However, this skin looks very smooth, but it doesn't feel very good to the touch. When it comes to the skin of a beauty, it's still the most beautiful blood slave by the old ancestor's side. Her skin is snow white, and there is a red mole between her eyebrows. She looks quite similar to you, so she should be that unlucky sister of yours that Su Junqing sent away. The old ancestor has already promised me that after I complete this mission, he will give me that blood slave. When the time comes, I will peel off her skin and give it to you, okay?" The more Lu Yunfei spoke, the more excited she became. Her eyes had already turned scarlet red, and her skin had also become flushed. She panted tenderly as she said, "When I think about peeling off your sister's skin, I'm so excited, so happy, so happy. Little Yi Yu, do you really want to watch your sister die?" From the moment Lu Yunfei mentioned his sister, Yi Yu's nerves had already collapsed into a straight line. Hatred, worry, anger, fear, and other emotions were constantly rolling in his heart, ready to erupt at any time. The tranquil heart pill that was originally in his mouth was accidentally swallowed into his stomach. After the extreme coolness, came the extreme fanaticism. Yi Yu secretly felt that things were not good. Just as he was about to leave the dilapidated temple, he heard Lu Yunfei's devil-like voice coming from behind him. "I caught my little bunny." Chapter 167. At this time, Yi Jiuge was rushing towards the broken temple with Luo Tian and Junichen. Luo Tian followed behind her and spoke while running, "Young miss, didn't you ask the young master when he raised this insect? As far as I know, he raised a batch before coming to Alchemy City, and this is the best one. I refined it with my essence blood. Luo Tian, do you want to die?" Junichen's arrogant voice came down from the tree. He disdained running on the ground with Yi Jiuge and the others, but insisted on jumping on the tree, probably because he felt that it was more cool. "Little master, there are some things that can't be hidden from Big Mississippi." Luo Tian's obscure voice traveled through the whistling wind into Junichen's ears. "We can't hide it from her, so we naturally have to tell her the truth. This will deepen eldest Miss's impression of us." "Humph." Junichen stepped on a branch unhappily, accepting Luo Tian's explanation. Yi Jiuge was already used to them playing tricks in front of him. She turned around a big tree and continued to ask Luo Tian, "This poisonous earth dragon became like this after you refined it with your blood essence, or are all the ones he raised like this?" "No, these poisonous earth dragon parasites will display different characteristics depending on the person's blood essence. My parasite has opened its eyes. Aside from detoxification, it can also be used for searching. Yi Yu's parasite should be as good at hiding as its master." As Luo Tian ran, he carefully introduced his young master's batch of poisonous earth dragon parasites. It had to be said that Junichen had already raised the poison earth dragons to a new level. This new batch of poison earth dragon goo would automatically choose a master that was more compatible with their attributes, and the evolved skills would also be more comprehensive. For example, Luo Tian was one of the 2 surviving members of the blood-clothed Miao tribe. Needless to say, he was strong. The poisonous earth dragon goo that he had refined, Xiaofan, not only had eyes and long thorns, it could attack and defend, it also had a very strong offensive ability. "Young miss, do you want to raise one as well? With your strength, you will definitely be able to cultivate an even more powerful insect." Luo Tian quickened his steps and ran to Yi Jiuge's side, looking at her sincerely. His expression seemed to be saying, "I'm not promoting goo worms, but loyalty. If you buy it, yours truly can give you a discount." Junichen floated down from the tree and landed beside Yi Jiuge, looking as if he was bestowing a reward. Although the little tsundra's expression was a little annoying, Yi Jiuge was really tempted by those goo worms. She thought for a moment and said, "Let me see it first." Junichen rolled up his sleeves, revealing his white and dry little arm, on which there were 13 black dots. He said, "These are all insects that haven't hatched yet. As long as you reveal a drop of blood essence, the insects will automatically choose you." Yi Jiuge pricked his finger and a drop of blood floated in front of her. The black dots on Junichen's hand all swelled up, fighting to be the first to pounce on Yi Jiuge's drop of blood essence. Even Junichen was shocked by their craziness. In fact, the natal goo in his body was desperately sending him a message. This drop of blood is also very beneficial to him. Hurry up and give it to him. Junichen and his natal goo were one and the same, its desire was his desire. He immediately used his power to suppress the rampaging goo insects, then reached out to snatch the drop of blood essence from Yi Jiuge. He didn't expect a black and fat figure to be faster than him. With a swoosh, it swallowed the drop of blood essence, then landed on Yi Jiuge's shoulder. It was a fat black rat. It had a fat head and big ears, with a round belly. Its little paw grabbed Yi Jioga's hair and shouted in dissatisfaction, "Pippi! Black fatty, why did you come out?" Yi Jioga was also shocked by this scene. Only now did she remember Zishang's warning to her. Every drop of blood in her body belonged to him. If she dared to let others use it carelessly, he would use a big stick to punish her. Was it too late to destroy the rat now? You dare to steal this young master's thing? Junichen's big black eyes stared at the black fat rat. The goo worms on his hand all went berserk, looking like they wanted to rush up and swallow the black fat rat clean. The black fat rat looked at the little worms with contempt, completely disregarding Junichen. It took out a carrot that was even longer than him from its beast skin bag, and squatted on Yi Jioga's shoulder as it chewed on it with relish. If you want to fight, then fight later. Don't delay me from saving people. Yi Jioga didn't even turn his head as he grabbed the black fat rat and stuffed it back into his cloth bag. Junichen lost his target, and looked angrily at Yi Jioga, shouting, "Return the blood essence to me. Return your grandpa, that belongs to me." Yi Jioga said in a bad mood. He couldn't tolerate this bad temper of stealing things. You. Junichen was about to flip out, but was held down by Luo Tian. "Little master, earning spirit beast pills is more important." Junichen clenched his teeth, silently remembering this grudge. Yi Jioga couldn't be bothered with little Ao Jiao's thoughts, and said to Luo Tian, "Hurry up, I want to find Yi Yu in an incense's time." After Luo Tian appeased the little master, he drove Xiaofan with all his might, and quickly brought Yi Jioga to the broken temple. "Yi Yu should be inside, I can feel that his poisonous earth dragon goo is injured," Luo Tian said softly. Yi Jioga opened his spirit eye to carefully inspect the situation of the broken temple. He saw a red circle of light surrounding the broken temple, mixed with the thick smell of blood, and there were even many strange red shadows hiding in the surroundings. It was obvious that this broken temple was one of Lu Yunfei's traps. She wanted to use Yi Yu to lure the others over. "Young miss, do we attack?" Luo Tian rubbed his fists, wanting to show off. "Do you have the confidence to deal with the people from Bloodthirsty Sect?" Yi Jioga asked. It wasn't that she looked down on Luo Tian and Junichen. It was that the two of them were crippled and small, they were really unreliable. "You still have the nerve to ask this kind of nonsense." Junichen was still holding a grudge against Yi Jioga for not giving him the blood essence. "So you have already found a way to deal with Bloodthirsty Sect?" Yi Jioga raised his eyebrows and asked. "Of course." Junichen nodded his head proudly, and habitually wanted to use spirit beast pills to exchange for an answer. Luo Tian answered first, "Little master has already thought of a way to deal with Bloodthirsty Sect, speaking of which, I have to thank you for this method." After he finished speaking, he looked at Yi Jioga gratefully. Yi Jioga was stunned, thought for a moment, and then probed, "Could it be that your method to deal with Bloodthirsty Sect is to rely on the poisonous earth dragon goo?" Young miss is indeed intelligent. Luo Tian nodded his head in gratification, looking like he didn't follow the wrong person. He couldn't tell that this guy was quite good at flattering people. However, flattery was useless. Yi Jioga still had to ask clearly what he needed to ask. Chapter 168. How can you be so sure that the poison earth dragon goo can deal with the Bloodthirsty Sect's people? I don't want guesses. I just want evidence, Yi Jioga said bluntly. TSK. Of course, yours truly has verified it. Junichen replied proudly. That year, when Forefather Bloodthirsty attacked the Bloodthirsty Miao tribe's territory, as the successor of the patriarch, Forefather Bloodthirsty Miao tribe had to kill him. Although the old patriarch risked his life to save him, he was also poisoned by the poison that could restrain the goo. In the beginning, he was tortured by the poison every day. It was only when he accidentally discovered that devouring the poison earth dragon could alleviate the poison that he felt much better. However, there weren't many poisonous earthworms in the wild, and searching for them was a waste of time, so he turned his attention to the cultivation base of the pharmacy. He seized the opportunity and used goo to control an old man in a pharmacy. Finally, he successfully sneaked into the poisonous earth dragon's manor. Because the earth poisonous dragon only had a lifespan of 15 days, the people in the villa didn't care too much about the daily consumption. He finally settled down and quietly detoxified the poison. Later, Yi Jioga spent money and effort to ask him to help cultivate the advanced version of the poisonous earth dragon, and even used spirit beast pills to pay him, which allowed him to successfully cultivate batch after batch of insects. Very good, I'll take all of them. Yi Jioga waved his hand. If these goo worms could really neutralize the bloodthirsty sect's poison, then he wouldn't have to worry about them trying to kill him again. In any case, she didn't have much, but she had a lot of elixirs. I don't want the spirit beast pill. As long as you give me a drop of your blood essence, I'll give all of these goo insects to you. Juni-chen couldn't help but swallow his saliva when he thought of Yi Jioga's delicious blood essence. Hee, my blood essence is very precious. Even if you use your natal goo to exchange for it, you won't be able to buy it. Just exchange it for a spirit beast pill. Yi Jioga wished he could dig out the drop of blood essence in the belly of the fat black rat. How could he sell a second drop? If you don't give me the essence blood, yours truly will not sell it. Juni-chen threatened angrily. Up to you. Yi Jioga shrugged and spread his hands. She had 100 ways to deal with people from bloodthirsty sect. However, Juni-chen could only eat the spirit beast pills he refined himself. Let's see who can last longer. Young master. Luo Tian pressed down on Juni-chen's shoulder again. Now that they had a favor to ask, they would only suffer losses if they were too arrogant. How could Juni-chen not understand this logic? Even if he hated being suppressed by Yi Jioga, he could only helplessly accept his fate. Alright, the old price, 1 bottle of spirit beast pills for 1. Sure, but I don't have that many spirit beast pills on hand right now. We'll make the deal after we return to Thunder Country, Yi Jioga said. He planned to give each of them a spare pair when they returned. Juni-chen was very confident in Yi Jioga's character. Alright, now let's talk about how to go in and save Yi Yu. After Yi Jioga had settled Juni-chen, he began to discuss serious matters. Of course we're going to kill our way in. Juni-chen's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he looked at the dilapidated temple. He decided to start with Lu Yunfei and start his path of revenge against the bloodthirsty sect. No. Yi Jioga shook his head. Yi Yu was in Lu Yunfei's hands. If she were to use him as a hostage, it would be very difficult for them to rescue him. It was better to think of a foolproof method while Lu Yunfei did not know their background. For example, luring the tiger away from the mountain, creating a diversion. Whatever you say, miss, we'll do it. Luo Tian took the opportunity to express his loyalty. Yi Jioga had just thought of an idea, so he said, then you guys just do as I say, no problem. Luo Tian nodded calmly. No problem. Juni-chen expressed that as long as he took action, there would be no mistakes. Alright, let's go. Yi Jioga nodded and led Luo Tian and Juni-chen towards the dilapidated temple. Inside the dilapidated temple, light and shadow intertwined. Yi Yu's major acupuncture points were sealed by Lu Yunfei and he was laid flat on the white human skin. TSK, TSK, TSK. I didn't know that you could run so well. Lu Yunfei was not in a hurry to enjoy her feast. Instead, she touched Yi Yu's smooth and white skin with interest. Her tone was full of pity. It's been a long time since I've met such a beautiful man. I really can't bear to do it. What do you want? Yi Yu's entire body could not move. His eyes shot out a ray of hatred as he stared fiercely at Lu Yunfei. He, a man and a woman alone in a room. What do you think I want? Lu Yunfei's small hand was placed on Yi Yu's strong chest. She gently kneaded his firm chest muscles, trying to ignite his fire. You shameless slut. Yi Yu had always felt that men who scolded women were not good people. However, when faced with a sinister and cunning snake like Lu Yunfei, he had no choice but to scold her. Is that all you can say? Lu Yunfei smiled coquettishly. Yi Yu's scolding was simply not painful to her. In fact, it was filled with interest. Slut, slut. Yi Yu clenched his teeth. He wanted to scold her until she was bleeding. Unfortunately, he was not good at scolding people. His mouth kept repeating these words. I like it. Louder. The more Lu Yunfei listened, the more excited she became. She could not wait to tear Yi Yu's shirt into pieces. Then, she reached out to pull his belt. Get lost. Don't touch me. Yi Yu really did not want to act like an ignorant girl who was being molested by a pervert. However, when he thought about losing his virginity to Lu Yunfei, this slut, he felt that he might as well die. Moreover, he wanted to have his blood, cultivation, and vitality sucked dry. He felt that he might as well die. He. Not only will sister touch, sister will also eat. Lu Yunfei pulled out Yi Yu's belt. She laughed like a hen that was about to lay eggs. Just as Yi Yu was about to be stripped naked by Lu Yunfei, a red shadow as thick as a thumb silently rushed down from the roof. It rushed towards Lu Yunfei's neck. Lu Yunfei's hand was still on Yi Yu's chest. However, the clothes behind her moved. A purple scorpion drilled into her neck. Its stinger moved and fiercely whipped the red shadow. The red shadow craftily turned around and spat out a sticky red liquid at the purple scorpion. The purple scorpion could not dodge in time. It was covered by the red liquid and could not move. The red shadow flapped its wings and quickly dragged the scorpion away. The entire process was very fast. It only took a few breaths. By the time Lu Yunfei reacted, she discovered that her treasure-seeking scorpion had been stolen. She had obtained that treasure-seeking scorpion by chance. She had spent countless years to raise it to rank 3. It was the time to use it. She had obtained a lot of benefits from the treasure-seeking scorpion. How could she be willing to let it be stolen like this? Lu Yunfei did not care about enjoying her feast. Her figure moved and chased after the scorpion. In the blink of an eye, only Yi Yu was left in the broken temple. Yi Yu condensed all the spiritual energy in his body. He wanted to break through the sealed acupuncture points. Unfortunately, Lu Yunfei's technique was very strange. He was unable to condense his spiritual energy. Seeing that Lu Yunfei was about to return at any moment, he was so anxious that a thin layer of cold sweat appeared on his body. He almost went berserk. Chapter 169. Just as Yi Yu was about to open his acupuncture point, a few inaudible footsteps came from outside the dilapidated temple. He thought it was Lu Yunfei who came back and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He didn't expect a familiar figure to walk in. Her green clothes fluttered in the wind, her figure was graceful, her face was delicate and there was a faint fragrance on her body. It was Yi Jioga. Yi Yu, are you okay? Yi Jioga was shocked when she saw Yi Yu's clothes were messy, revealing half of his smooth chest and even his belt was taken off. She didn't come late and caused Yi Yu to sleep with Lu Yunfei, right? I'm fine. Yi Yu's sorry state was seen by Yi Jioga and he wanted to hide in a hole and never come out. Yi Jioga originally wanted to help Yi Yu open his acupuncture point. Seeing that he was not intimate, she was too embarrassed to make a move. She turned around and shouted, Luo Tian, come in for a moment. Luo Tian quickly came in and saw Yi Yu's miserable appearance. He thought that Yi Yu had been done with by Lu Yunfei. He was very sympathetic and reached out to help him open his acupuncture point. Yi Yu regained his mobility and quickly tidied up his clothes. However, his injuries were a little heavy and his movements were a little slow. It was Luo Tian who helped him. Trash! A proud and disdainful voice came from the roof. Little mute? Yi Yu looked up and for a moment, he wasn't sure if it was him who was scolding him. Humph, you have this young master's poisonous earth dragon goo and you can move stealthily but you were still plotted against by that woman. You're really trash. Junichen continued to complain expressionlessly. Yi Yu didn't defend himself in the face of Junichen's scolding and said in shame, I was careless. I didn't expect Lu Yunfei to have other helpers. Eat these pills first, then tell me what other helpers she has. Yi Jioga saw that Yi Yu's body was emitting a strong smell of aphrodisiac. She poured out 2 clear heart pills and 1 fire pill for Yi Yu. Yi Yu ate the pill and the dark fire on his body immediately retreated. Then, he told the story of how he was plotted against. After he discovered Lu Yunfei's whereabouts yesterday, he stealthily followed her and found out that Lu Yunfei had kidnapped a level 2 alchemist from the alchemy competition. He wanted to save this tier 2 alchemist and let her accuse Lu Yunfei and Su Junqing so that he could clear Yi Jioga's name. He did not expect that the tier 2 alchemist was actually a fake, and had backstabbed him instead. When he was escaping, he was hit on the back by Lu Yunfei's palm, so he fled here. Who was that evil cultivator who pretended to be a level 2 alchemist? Yi Jioga asked with a frown. Previously, during the alchemy competition, she had carefully observed the few level 2 pill refiners and did not find any traces of heretic cultivators. It's a middle-aged woman with high cheekbones, a mean face, and fine wrinkles at the corners of her mouth. Her name is Guoyingshi. Yi Yu carefully described the woman's characteristics. I recognize that woman. Yi Jioga had an impression of her. After the alchemy competition, that woman had stayed in the alchemy tower and hadn't appeared since. I recognize it too, Luo Tian said. At that time, he was the one who tested the medicine on the stage, so he secretly noted down all the tier 2 pill refiners. That middle-aged woman was quite conspicuous, so it shouldn't be that easy to disguise. That evil cultivator is very powerful. The evil aura on her body was completely concealed, and there was no trace of her disguise at all, Yi Yu repeatedly emphasized. Even you were fooled. It seems that evil cultivator is very good at disguising. If she wants to cause any damage, then it will be troublesome. Yi Jioga faintly felt uneasy. Yi Yu had always been good at disguising, and the evil cultivator who could fool him was definitely not simple. Young miss, why don't we leave this place first? My Xiaofan can't hold on much longer, Luo Tian said with a frown. That purple scorpion had a connection with Lu Yunfei, so he couldn't get rid of Xiaofan no matter what. You take Yi Yu and leave first, I will meet that Lu Yunfei, Yi Jioga said in a deep voice. She had been tracking down the bloodthirsty sect's evil cultivators for so long, but she had only interacted with Su Junqing. Other than the bewitching art, she didn't know what other tricks the bloodthirsty sect had. She could take this opportunity to meet Lu Yunfei and find out more about the bloodthirsty sect's background. Young miss, Lu Yunfei has many tricks up her sleeves, but her schemes are not strong. You must be careful, Yi Yu said worriedly. I am here, what are you afraid of? Junichen said arrogantly. 4-1, we can give it a try. Luo Tian nodded. Although he and his young master had not fully recovered their powers, it was not a problem to test out that woman's methods. No need, Luo Tian, you take Yi Yu and leave. Little Mute will wait for me in the dark. It would be best if we can take her down, but we can't retreat at any time. Yi Jioga only wanted to test Lu Yunfei's tricks, there was no need to leave so many people. Yes. Luo Tian was very confident in Yi Jioge and the young master. Without saying anything else, he carried Yi Yu, who could not move freely, and turned to leave. Little Mute, summon Xiaofan here, Yi Jioge ordered. Junichen's life goo could control all the goo raised by the Blood Cloak Miao people, and Luo Tian's Xiaofan was no exception. Junichen's expression was solemn, his mouth did not move, but his body made a strange trembling sound. Not long after, Xiaofan flew in like lightning, and landed in front of Junichen. It looked very pathetic, the blood-red color of its body had faded a lot, and its spread wings could not stop trembling, that was a sign of overexertion. It was also dragging a palm-sized purple scorpion. Although it was frozen by the red liquid, it still looked like it was struggling to get out. Yi Jioge immediately recognized that this unlucky scorpion was the one that lured him to the chaotic world. When the unlucky scorpion saw Yi Jioge struggling even more, it seemed to know that it was going to be in big trouble. "Give me that purple scorpion." Yi Jioge stretched out his hand towards Junichen. A spirit beast pill, Junichen raised his index finger, and added expressionlessly, to reward Xiaofan. "Cheapskate, take it." Yi Jioge was already speechless at Junichen's action of wanting to take the prize from him. After Junichen fed the spirit beast pill to Xiaofan, he took down the purple scorpion and threw it to Yi Jioge. After Yi Jioge wrapped the scorpion with his spiritual energy, he carefully examined it. This scorpion was palm-sized, its purple carapace looked like it was forged from metal, and it shone with a faint cold light. But the strangest thing was that there was a red eye on its stinger, which was faintly discernible under the sunlight. So it's a treasure-seeking scorpion. Yi Jioge had heard of this kind of strange beast. Not only was it very sensitive to treasures like Yin spirits, but after advancing, it could also eliminate demons and devour ghosts. It was a very angry demonic beast, no wonder Lu Yunfei would rather give up on Yi Yu and chase after him. Chapter 170. That evil cultivator has caught up. Junichen said softly. Yi Jioge looked towards the entrance of the broken temple, only to see a light breeze blowing, the leaves falling silently, but a murderous aura assaulted his face. Stick to the plan. Yi Jioge stuffed the treasure-seeking scorpion into his cloth bag, then raised his hand and condensed a purple lightning. Junichen's figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. Just as he disappeared, Lu Yunfei rushed back to the broken temple like lightning and was met with the purple lightning released by Yi Jioge. When she came back, she was already prepared to be ambushed. She raised her hand and released a blood mist to deflect Yi Jioge's lightning, then struck towards Yi Jioge's chest. Yi Jioge mobilized all the spiritual power in his body and raised his hand to meet her palm. The purple and red light fiercely collided, causing red and purple light to burst out. Lu Yunfei somersaulted and landed beside the broken temple door. Yi Jioge stood in place without moving. On the surface, Yi Jioge had the upper hand, but in fact, she was at a disadvantage. Lu Yunfei's palm wind was very insidious. If it wasn't for her lightning spiritual power having the ability to ward off evil, she would have really been hit. "You are Yi Jioge?" Lu Yunfei stood at the side of the door and sized up Yi Jioge with her big watery eyes. She exclaimed in admiration, "You do have some good looks. You are barely qualified to be my ancestor's blood slave. You are Lu Yunfei?" Yi Jioge squinted his eyes and looked at Lu Yunfei with contempt, then said with disdain, "You look so vulgar, no wonder you have to use underhanded methods to force yourself on a man. Little girl, you better control your mouth, or else you won't even know how you die." Lu Yunfei's face darkened. Although she had heard countless insults, she still had to admit that Yi Jioge's mouth was a bit too vicious. "Can't help it, this mouth of mine can't be controlled when I see an ugly woman." Yi Jioge pretended to be distressed. She was originally extremely beautiful, and after obtaining the white bone flame, she had an otherworldly aura. That appearance of using her beauty to commit murder could definitely drive a woman crazy. Although Lu Yunfei wanted to skin Yi Jiuge, she was after all, still someone who had seen the world. He suppressed the anger in his heart and asked the two most important questions: where are my Yi Yu and treasure-seeking scorpion? It's already mine. Yi Jiuge smiled proudly, his arrogance exploding. Courting death. An ominous glint flashed past Lu Yunfei's eyes. She had dominated the bloodthirsty sect for so many years, but she had never been humiliated like this. You're the one courting death. Yi Jiuge's right hand formed a five-thunder chant, and the purple lightning struck towards Lu Yunfei again. Lu Yunfei took out a small and exquisite blood-colored bell from her storage bag and gently shook it. A strange sound was transmitted over. When Yi Jiuge heard this voice, the blood in his body surged crazily, as though he wanted to break through the shackles and rush towards Lu Yunfei. Yi Jiuge was shocked. She quickly took out a clear heart pill and swallowed it. The cold feeling made her shiver. To be able to withstand my blood bell sound, you are indeed not simple. Lu Yunfei raised her hand and shook the blood-colored bell twice. This time, the bell sound was even clearer, like a heavy hammer falling on Yi Jiuge's head. The blood in her body surged even more violently, like a herd of wild horses that had lost control, about to rush out of her pores. Yi Jiuge did not try to suppress the surging blood. Instead, he followed this feeling and shot out a thumb-thick bolt of purple lightning. Lu Yunfei did not expect that Yi Jiuge would still have a chance to fight back under the control of her blood bell sound. She stopped underestimating him, raised her hand, and shot out a bloody light. After breaking through Yi Jiuge's lightning, the blood-colored bell in her hand shook even more violently. Yi Jiuge covered his ears and retreated 3 feet. He was about to pull out the Thunder Snake illusionary whip from his waist. However, Lu Yunfei suddenly opened her mouth and spat out a ball of thick bloody light. It turned into a blood-colored arrow, and with a rotten stench, it shot towards Yi Jiuge's chest. Yi Jiuge was not far from her. Caught off guard, he could only take this attack head-on. At this crucial moment, Lil Red, who was lying on Junichen's body, rushed out. The red light on its body exploded, and it turned into a fist-sized shadow. It opened its mouth and swallowed the blood-colored arrow. Retreat! Yi Jiuge took the opportunity to retreat, broke through the window, and left the ruined temple. When Lu Yunfei heard the order to retreat, she thought that there was still an ambush in the ruined temple, so she stopped and searched carefully. When she rushed out of the ruined temple, she had already lost sight of Yi Jiuge. Damned bitch, wait until I send you back to bloodthirsty sect. I will definitely let the ancestor refine you into a blood slave to feed the Spider King. Lu Yunfei gritted her teeth and cursed. After Yi Jiuge left the ruined temple, he quickly arrived at the place where he had agreed to meet Junichen. Junichen was already waiting there. Is Lil Red alright? Yi Jiuge asked. If Lil Red had not rushed out to help her take the hit, she would have suffered a huge loss. I'm fine. Junichen opened his palm. He saw that Lil Red's abdomen was as big as a ball, and its body was so red that it was about to drip blood. It was curled up and motionless. It has a baby? Yi Jiuge asked hesitantly. He felt that Lil Red could give birth to a bunch of little goo at any time. Squeak squeak. Lil Red roared angrily. Yi Jiuge inexplicably felt that she understood what Lil Red meant. She raised her head and asked Junichen, is it saying that I am male? I don't know, but it is indeed male. Junichen shook his head. He could only give orders to goo worms unilaterally, and could not understand what they were saying. Then why is its stomach so big? Yi Jiuge was slightly worried. Although Lil Red was only a goo worm, if it died to save her, she would also feel guilty. It must have eaten too much. The blood arrow that Lu Yunfei shot out just now was extremely poisonous. If you were hit by it, you would have turned into a puddle of blood on the spot. Juni Chen understood that arrow very well. Many of his clansmen had died under that move in the past. Squeak squeak. Lil Red cried out again. Although it looked like it was going to explode at any time, it was still in good spirits. Lil Red saved you, don't you have anything to say? Juni Chen looked at Yi Jioga expressionlessly and asked for repayment with a serious face. There are only 2 left, take it. Yi Jioga sensibly took out the spirit beast pill. Although she had ways to neutralize the blood arrow even if Lil Red didn't come out, she couldn't let Lil Red down. Goo worms also had insect rights. Juni Chen took the spirit beast pill and stuffed it into Lil Red's mouth. After Lil Red swallowed it, although its stomach seemed even bigger, it began to hum with a satisfied expression. Shut up. Juni Chen reprimanded with a dark expression. He didn't want Yi Jioga to know that Lil Red swallowed the blood arrow not to save her, but because it was useful for Lil Red's evolution. After Lil Red finished absorbing the blood arrow and the spirit beast pill, it would be able to advance to the next level. Yi Jioga actually noticed a little, but Lil Red was her own worm. She was happy to see it evolve, so she didn't expose Juni Chen's intentions. Chapter 171. Luo Tian is summoning us. Let's go back. Juni Chen put Little Red back into his sleeve and ran towards the forest. Yi Jioga followed him and asked, do you recognize the blood-colored bell that Lu Yunfei took out? The ringing from the blood-colored bell was too terrifying. If it weren't for the clear heart pill, she wouldn't have been able to resist it. If it were an ordinary person, they would have died. Juni Chen thought for a moment, then said, it's an artifact that Ancestor Bloodthirsty used his own blood essence to refine for his direct disciple. It's similar to the blood beads in that it can borrow his power. Although he learned a lot of information from the bloodthirsty ancestor with the help of the patriarch's blood, this information was usually buried in the depths of his mind and could only be triggered when he saw the real thing. Blood beads, blood bells, blood swords, bewitching art, disguise art. Yi Jioga secretly memorized these methods of the bloodthirsty sect. She planned to record them in a booklet and distribute it to Wan Xiang and the others so that they wouldn't have to take many detours when facing the bloodthirsty sect in the future. The 2 of them followed the clues left by Luo Tian and finally arrived at a hidden valley before sunset. Turning into the valley, they found a bonfire on the leeward side of the mountain wall, and the faint aroma of barbecued meat wafted in the air. They're quite carefree. Yi Jioga's tone was a little sour. Anyone who fought to the death with the enemy in a broken temple and came back to find their comrades barbecuing and drinking would not be happy. Juni Chen rarely expressed his approval. At this time, Yi Yu, who was squatting next to the bonfire and roasting a rabbit, noticed that Yi Jioga and the others had returned. Just as he was about to get up to greet him, a figure quickly strode towards Yi Jioga. As she ran, she said in an exaggerated tone, my young miss, you've finally appeared. Alchemy City and Shangjing are in chaos because of you. No one else could have such exaggerated acting skills other than Bai Songling. Really? Yi Jioga raised his eyebrows and replied to Bai Songling, when did I become so important? Why didn't she know? Bai Songling smiled bitterly and said, think about it. Master Yun's granddaughter, the eldest legitimate daughter of the Yi family, and the former fiancée of the crown prince, turned out to be the leader of evil cultivators. Not only did she murder countless spiritualists who came to participate in the alchemy competition, but she also cruelly killed people from the Gong family. After being arrested, she killed people and escaped from prison. Gong Honglei has already sent a message back to the Spiritualist Alliance to list you as the most wanted criminal. Yi Yuxuan also posted on the Tianxia board, saying that he wants to cut off his father-daughter relationship with you. The Crown Prince even offered a bounty of 10,000 gold coins for your whereabouts. Su Yufeng and her mother went around saying bad things about you. Those passers-by who don't know what's going on will scold you like you're the greatest sinner in history. Bai Songling was not exaggerating at all. In fact, the current situation was even more serious than what he had said. Alchemists were originally a respected existence. No matter who made a move on them, it would be a huge taboo. After Yi Jiuge escaped from prison, the crown prince added fuel to the fire and falsely accused her reputation. If Yi Yuxuan could bear the pressure to support Yi Jiuge, then the public opinion would not have gone out of control. Unfortunately, not only did Yi Yuxuan not help Yi Jiuge, he even posted on the Tianxia board, saying that he wanted to cut off his father-daughter relationship with Yi Jiuge, and that her life and death would no longer have anything to do with him. In addition, Yi Shanshan and her mother had secretly and openly poured dirty water on Yi Jiuge's head, making people believe that Yi Jiuge was the head of a heretic cultivator. Yi Xian. Yi Jiuge gritted her teeth, wishing that she could bite those 3 words into pieces and spit them into the mud. Although she knew that this scumbag of a father was a bit heartless, she did not expect him to be so heartless, indiscriminately framing her, and breaking her bottom line every time. Forget it, I don't want this kind of father. Bai Songling comforted. Yi Jiuge let out a breath, and asked, "What about the servants in my courtyard?" She was only worried about Mother Qing, Pearl and the others. Even if Yi Yuxuan did not make a move on them, Su Yufeng would not let them go. Don't worry, after His Highness Dong Ling Wang heard the news, he immediately sent people to hide all the servants in your courtyard. Bai Songling admired the servants of the Purple Forest Park. Dongfang Ke had just sent someone to pass the news to Mother Qing, and Mother Qing immediately arranged for all the servants to leave in an orderly manner. When Su Yufeng rushed over, even the old maid guarding the door of the Purple Forest Park had disappeared. That's good. Yi Jiuge finally heaved a sigh of relief. Oh right, 4th Miss Yi is determined not to believe that you are a heretic cultivator, and is still unwilling to return to Alchemy City, but her mother, 5th aunt, Bai Songling couldn't help but sigh, and said, "We originally wanted to bring 5th aunt out, but she insisted on staying in the Yi mansion to wait for 4th Miss Yi to return. Not long after, I heard that she died of an acute illness." The news that Su Yufeng spread was that you were dissatisfied with Yi Yuxuan and wanted to poison them, but accidentally killed 5th aunt. 5th aunt is dead? This news was a bit unexpected for Yi Jiuge, but it was also reasonable. Yes, our people have already investigated and confirmed that it was Su Yufeng who poisoned her. Yi Yuxuan should also be aware of this, but he tacitly agreed that Su Yufeng pushed the blame to you. Bai Songling had been in the Ministry of Justice for a long time and believed that he had seen many tragedies, but a man as scum as Yi Yuxuan was rare. I didn't think that she would still be unable to escape this calamity. Yi Jiuge sighed. She had already done her best to protect 5th aunt, but in the end, she still couldn't protect her to the end. She only pitied Yi Rui. Young miss, the rumors about you in Alchemy City and Shangjing are very unfavorable. If you don't think of a way to eliminate them, I'm afraid it will only get worse. Although Bai Songling sympathized with 5th aunt for not being a good person, Yi Jiuge was still more important to him. How could Yi Jiuge not know the severity of the situation? However, this kind of public opinion couldn't be changed with just words. Just as Yi Jiuge was frowning and thinking hard, Luo Tian came over and said gently, "Young miss, why don't we slowly talk by the fire? It's warm there. You've been tired all day, so you should be hungry." Yes, we roasted rabbit meat for you and cooked mushroom soup." Bai Songling said, "At such an unlucky time, you need to eat and drink to have the energy to continue the discussion." Yi Jiuge didn't feel it before, but now that she mentioned it, she realized that she was really hungry. She came to the fire and found that Juni Chen was already squatting by the side, eating more than half of the rabbit. "Young miss, sit here." Yi Yu took a roasted golden rabbit from the fire rack and handed it to Yi Jiuge. Yi Jiuge took a bite. The taste was really good. It was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, with crispy skin and crispy meat. In addition to the roasted meat, there was an iron bowl on top of the fire cooking soup. White mushrooms floated in the soup, and it smelled quite good. While Yi Jiuge was eating, Bai Songling squatted beside her and continued the previous topic. After you leave the prison, you're already the head of the evil cultivators. Lu Yunfei and Su Junqing will definitely take the opportunity to kill those spiritualists and push the blame on you. Chapter 172. Don't worry about those rumors. When the truth comes out, the situation will change. The most important thing now is to expose Lu Yunfei, Su Junqing, and the Crown Prince's true colors. How is Brother Wan? Yi Jiuge asked. Now that she had been splashed with dirty water, Wan Xiang must not be any better. The Crown Prince is holding on to your friendship with him and wants to throw him into prison as an accomplice. Fortunately, Master Dongfang is wise and didn't listen to the Crown Prince's nonsense. However, Wan Xiang's military power has been taken back. Before the truth comes out, he has to avoid arousing suspicion. The Crown Prince's men are watching him every day so he can't find you. Fortunately, I've been running around outside and never entered Alchemy City. That's how I managed to avoid the Crown Prince's attack. Bai Songling explained the situation in Alchemy City. Alchemy City was divided into 3 factions. The Crown Prince and Gong Honglei's faction believed Yi Jiuge was the murderer. Wan Xiang and Yi Rui didn't believe Yi Jiuge was a heretic. Dongfang Yao and Li Zijuan remained neutral. You're missing one faction. Yi Jiuge added, Su Junqing and Lu Yunfei are also one faction, and the most important one. You're right. Bai Songling nodded and looked at Yi Yu. You brat, you've been following Lu Yunfei for so long and you still haven't found anything. Don't blame Yi Yu. I just exchanged a few moves with Lu Yunfei. Her methods are indeed powerful. Yi Jiuge drank a mouthful of soup and told them about his fight with Lu Yunfei. When mentioning the blood bell sound, she emphasized, if you see her take out a blood bell, it's best to knock it off immediately. If you can't, then leave immediately. Because her bell sound has a limited range, the closer you are, the greater the effect. She had personally tested this against Lu Yunfei when she was fighting against him. Yi Yu and Bai Songling quickly noted this down. Next, you must keep an eye on the remaining 2 rank 2 pill masters. If I'm not wrong, Lu Yunfei will make a move against them. Yi Jiuge had this guess when he heard Yi Yu say that the demonic cultivator disguised as a middle-aged woman, Guangxi. Just keeping an eye on them is not enough. It would be best if we can make contact with them and have them cooperate with us to capture the heretical cultivator, Luo Tian said solemnly. Brother, you're right. Wan Xiang's men have been keeping an eye on the Crown Prince, but they still made a mistake. It's better to ask them to be more vigilant and report to us as soon as they find any abnormalities. Bai Songling agreed. During this period of time, he had been tracking down the spiritualists who were killed along the way. He realized that they were killed because they were not vigilant enough. They had either fallen for Lu Yunfei's honey trap, or they had been deceived by someone they knew. All of them had died unjustly. Junichen, who had been silent all this while, suddenly said, "Don't forget the ultimate goal of the evil cultivators. You're saying that they're looking for someone with a similar cultivation base as Forefather Bloodthirsty?" Yi Jiuge didn't think it was possible. According to the information provided by Junichen and the others, Forefather Bloodthirsty was about to break through High Spirit Master and enter Great Spirit Master. Dongfang Yao was the only one in Alchemy City who fulfilled this condition. That old man looked withered, but after staying in Alchemy City for so many years, he wasn't a simple character. He wouldn't be tricked so easily. It's never wrong to be careful. Luo Tian's expression was gloomy. Back in the day, the Blood Cloak tribe was even more powerful, but they were still annihilated by Forefather Bloodthirsty. I'll write a letter to Li Zijuan later and have him give it to Grandmaster Dongfang. Yi Jiuge felt that Luo Tian was right. It was always better to be careful. Bai Songling sneaked up to Juni Chen and said, "Little mute, I heard you have quite a few parasites on you. Sell one to me." Ever since he heard from Yi Yu that these parasites could fight against Bloodthirsty's poison, he couldn't wait to get his hands on one. Juni Chen expressionlessly stared at Bai Songling with a strong sense of resistance. He hated this talkative fellow. "Give him one," Yi Jiuge said. She had already decided on all of Juni Chen's parasites, so she had the most say in this matter. Essence blood. Juni Chen unwillingly raised his sleeve to reveal the parasites on his arm. "Here." Bai Songling happily squeezed his finger open and handed over a drop of essence blood. Soon, a black dot flew over. After absorbing Bai Songling's essence blood, it quietly lay on his palm like a chicken. "It will hatch tomorrow." Juni Chen put down his sleeve. "So long?" Bai Songling frowned and then asked, "What will the parasites look like? Will they be as powerful as Yi Yu's?" "I don't know. This new batch of parasites will evolve according to their master's characteristics." Juni Chen was a little impatient. "I'm so awesome, the parasites I raise won't be too bad." Bai Songling was full of confidence. She then moved to Yi Jiuge's side and said, "When the time comes, give me a few bottles of spirit beast pills to raise parasites. 500 taels of silver per bottle, thank you." Yi Jiuge said bluntly. The elixirs she gave before were all one-time use. Now that they wanted to use spirit beast pills to raise parasites, she couldn't afford it. "TSK, 500 taels. Alright, I'll take one first." Although Bai Songling's heart ached, in order to raise a good parasite to save his life, he had to buy it no matter how expensive it was. "I don't have any elixirs with me now. Let's talk about it later." Yi Jiuge secretly decided to go back and refine spirit beast pills in batches. "Alright." Bai Songling nodded. "Oh right, Yi Yu, how's your parasite?" Yi Jiuge turned his head and asked Yi Yu. "My black overlord isn't doing too well." Yi Yu carefully took out his parasite from his belt. The once majestic black bug now looked shriveled and shriveled. It curled up in Yi Yu's palm, looking like it was half dead. It must have eaten the wrong poison. It will be fine after resting for a while. Juni Chen glanced at it and knew the problem. Although the poisonous earth dragon parasite could swallow a lot of poisons, some poisons were very harmful to it. For example, the aphrodisiac poison. After swallowing this poison, it would become excited. When it couldn't find a target to vent, it would become like this. After Yi Yu heard this, he felt some heartache. He gently stroked the body of the Black Overlord. He was hit by Lu Yunfei's poisonous emotion palm. If not for the Black Overlord helping him to absorb more than half of the poison, even if he swallowed the clear heart pill, he would still turn into a beast of desire. Poor Overlord parasite. Yi Jiuge deeply sympathized with it. Unfortunately, she didn't have any more spirit beast pills on hand. Otherwise, she would have given it a few to comfort it. Chapter 173. The night sky was tranquil with the stars hanging high in the sky. Bai Songling yawned and asked Yi Jiuge, "It's getting late, should we camp here or go somewhere else?" These rough men could lie down for the night anywhere, but Yi Jiuge was still his. He was afraid that she would feel wronged. Yi Jiuge thought about it and said, "Let's go back to Alchemy City. Find a way to rent a place for me tomorrow morning. I want to refine some tranquil heart pills and a few bottles of spirit beast pills." These insects needed pills to heal, so it was better for her to refine some as a backup just in case. "Sure, His Highness has a secret hideout in Alchemy City. I guarantee that the Crown Prince won't be able to find out." Bai Songling couldn't help but admire Dongfang K's foresight. Dongfang K had secretly set up several strongholds in Alchemy City before the competition. Now, they finally came in handy. Then let's go. Yi Jiuge stood up. Luo Tian extinguished the bonfire. Yi Yu dug a hole to bury the leftover rabbit skeleton. Bai Songling cleaned her precious iron bowl and put it away. There was still 2 hours until daybreak. Yi Jiuge, Bai Songling, Luo Tian, and Yi Yu had to disguise themselves or else they would be captured. Disguising was also a necessary skill for Yi Yu. He painted his face yellow, and after a few fiddles, he turned into an ordinary young man. Dressed in coarse blue clothes, he looked like a servant from a rich family. Luo Tian, on the other hand, painted his face black and pretended to be a silent guard. Bai Songling put on a slanted eyebrow and a goatee. He wore a sapphire blue robe and instantly became a rich landlord. At first, Bai Songling suggested that Yi Jiuge pretend to be a landlady and become his wife, but Yi Jiuge refused. She had already made up her mind. She rubbed some medicinal powder on her face and turned into a middle-aged woman with high cheekbones, a mean expression, and fine wrinkles on the corners of her mouth. "You look like Guoyingshi." Yi Yu frowned. This face reminded him of a painful memory. "That's the effect I want." Yi Jiuge did it on purpose. "That's too risky." Bai Songling also disagreed. They had to tuck their tails between their legs when they entered the city, but Yi Jiuge pretended to be someone that the evil cultivator had once disguised as. Wouldn't that attract more attention? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. The best defense is offense. Yi Jiuge naturally had her reasons for doing so. Now that the entire Thunder Country was against him under the influence of the Crown Prince, if she continued to hide like a turtle, she would only lose the initiative. She had to think of a way to take the initiative to attack. He might be able to catch a big fish by pretending to be Guoyingshi. Well, anyway, it can't be that bad. Bai Songling was also very optimistic. By the time they finished dressing up, the sky was already beginning to brighten. After the city guards opened the gate, they didn't interrogate Yi Jiuge's group and directly let them into the city. The stronghold that Bai Songling mentioned was at number 17 East Main Street, next to the herb shop. At this time, it was still early. There were few people on the street and only a few shops were open. The group entered the house without a hitch. It was a courtyard with 3 entrances. Although the layout was simple, it had everything that one needed. Bai Songling was about to arrange for them to rest when he suddenly thought of something and said, "My insect seems to be hatching." As he said that, he raised his arm and saw that the black dot on his hand had become much bigger. Then, it moved and finally stretched out, revealing its true face. However, everyone looked at it with a strange expression. Yi Yu's black overlord was ferocious and mighty, good at hiding and devouring. Luo Tian's little red was extremely fast and good at sneak attacks. Bai Songling's white insect didn't have eyes or wings. It only had an extremely big mouth and looked very ugly. Things are like people. Junichen nodded and said, "You talk too much, that's why you raised such a big mouth insect." Impossible. Bai Songling couldn't believe that such a handsome young talent like him would raise such an ugly insect. He couldn't accept it. Face the reality. Yi Jiuge also laughed mercilessly at the side. Bai Songling stared at the big mouth insect and felt an indescribable suffocation in his heart. He could only comfort himself, forget it, forget it. The bigger the mouth, the more it eats. In the future, it will definitely be more powerful than you guys. And, I really appreciate your attitude of deceiving yourself. Yi Yu said very seriously. Get lost. Bai Songling glared at Yi Yu, then licked his big face and went to Yi Jiuge's side and said, "Later, help me refine a few bottles of spirit beast pills." I don't believe that my big mouth will always be so ugly. He had already made up his mind to cultivate his big mouth into the world's #1 insect. As long as you can afford it, you can have as much as you want. Yi Jiuge said very generously. Me too. Junichen's small face was stiff, as if saying, don't forget me. Do you have money? Yi Jiuge mercilessly attacked him. Junichen stared at him and said, I'm doing things for you. Let's talk about it after it's done. Yi Jiuge waved his hand and said to Luo Tian and Bai Songling, I'll go out to buy some herbs, and then go into closed-door cultivation to refine pills. Don't stay here, hurry up and investigate the whereabouts of the remaining 2 rank 2 alchemists. It would be best if you can find out the whereabouts of Guoyingshi. If she's fine, it would be best. Yi Yu, your injury has not healed yet. Stay by my side and take care of me. Yes. Luo Tian and Bai Songling received their task and left together. Junichen also followed Luo Tian and left. Yi Jiuge counted the money and left the house with Yi Yu, ready to buy some herbs. The originally bustling herb shop looked a little deserted today, and the shop assistants all looked listless. Yi Jiuge picked the biggest herb shop and walked in. The moment the shop assistant saw her, he quickly greeted her enthusiastically, Guest, what do you want? I want to buy some herbs. After Yi Jiuge handed over the purchase list, she asked casually, I see that there are very few people on the street. Is the herb business not good during this time? Hey, don't say it. It's all because of the evil cultivator. That evil cultivator killed many people who came to do business here. Who dares to come here now? The shop assistant said while picking up the herbs. It said that the evil cultivator leader was killed by Master Yun's granddaughter, Yi Jiuge. I don't know if it's true or not. Of course it's true. I heard that even her father announced that he was no longer her father's daughter. Another shop assistant said. Yi Jiuge didn't care about these rumors, but Yi Yu's face turned cold and said, Don't talk nonsense without evidence. The shopkeeper standing behind the counter immediately scolded the 2 shop assistants, Have you finished picking up the herbs? You talk too much. I invited you here to work, not to gossip. The 2 shop assistants did not dare to say anything more. They quickly picked up the herbs and enthusiastically sent Yi Jiuge away. Yi Jiuge had just left the pharmacy with the medicine bag when Yi Yu whispered behind her, Someone is following us. Chapter 174. Who's following us? What's their cultivation level? Yi Jiuge lowered his voice and asked. Should be an advanced spiritualist. They're very cautious. Yi Yu answered. If it wasn't for his natural sensitivity towards tracking, he probably wouldn't have noticed. Let's find a chance to take him down. Yi Jiuge said as she looked around. They were currently on the busiest street in the herb store. Although the evil cultivator's killing caused business to drop, there were still more people than other streets. In particular, there was a free market in front of them that sold spiritual herbs picked by the city's residents. There were quite a lot of good stuff. Many low-rank alchemists were there with their followers. It was very lively with people coming and going. Yi Jiuge had an idea, so she turned around and walked towards the market. After turning left and right, she walked into a small alley. During this process, Yi Yu and Yi Jiuge were already separated from each other by the crowd. Yi Jiuge kept walking along the dirty alley. The further she went, the more secluded it became. At this time, she could feel someone following her. The aura was very well hidden. If she didn't look carefully, she wouldn't have noticed. When she reached a dead end filled with junk, she turned around and asked, Friend, why don't you come out and have a good talk? The person didn't make a sound. The alley was dead silent. Since you don't want to come out, don't blame me for being rude. Yi Jioga raised her finger and a purple lightning shot towards the pile of wood in the corner of the alley. A black figure sprang out from the pile of wood and ran out of the alley. Yi Yu was already prepared. He came out from the shadow and raised his hand to shoot two gray spiritual lights to force the black figure back. The black figure landed in front of Yi Jioga and revealed his face. It was a young man with a very unique appearance. "It's you?" Yi Jioga looked at the person's braided hair and black and red robe. He remembered that the person was a rank 2 alchemist. He was a prince from a remote country in the west. He seemed to be called O Yongsan. "You recognize me?" O Yongsan's light brown eyes sized up the disguised Yi Jioga. "There are only a few rank 2 alchemists in the city. It's not strange that I recognize you. But why are you following me?" Yi Jioga asked with a stern face. "Because you look like a friend of mine, Guoyingshi. Do you recognize her?" O Yongsan's attitude was calm but his tone was full of probing. "I don't. Does she look like me? If there's a chance, we can get to know each other." Yi Jioga was expressionless. "There's no chance." O Yongsan shook his head and said word by word, "She's dead. She was killed by an evil cultivator." Yi Jioga couldn't help but raise his eyebrows in surprise. Guoyingshi was really dead. However, a second-rank alchemist was killed by a heretical cultivator in Alchemy City. This matter shouldn't be kept a secret, so how did O Yongsan find out? O Yongsan seemed to have noticed the doubt in Yi Jioga's heart. He explained in a low voice, "Guoyingshi is my senior sister. We came to Alchemy City together to participate in the competition. Senior sister Guo was killed by an evil cultivator 3 days ago. Before she died, she used a secret method to pass the news to me. I've been looking for her body, but I haven't found it yet." After O Yongsan finished speaking, he sized up Yi Jioga with a scrutinizing gaze. "I didn't kill your senior sister." Yi Jioga calmly said, "There is a person among the evil cultivators who is very good at disguising. He disguised himself as Guoyingshi and severely injured one of my subordinates. I disguised myself as Guoyingshi to lure that evil cultivator out." Yi Jioga did not say much about Yi Yu. This Ouyang Sen's appearance was too much of a coincidence. It was still unclear whether he was a friend or foe. O Yongsan seemed to believe Yi Jioga's words. After a moment of silence, he asked again, "Since you're investigating the evil cultivator, do you know the whereabouts of Yi Jioga? Do you also think that Yi Jioga is the leader of evil cultivators?" Yi Jioga asked. O Yongsan was silent for a moment before saying, "If she's the head of the evil cultivators, she won't be able to escape Grandmaster Dongfang's eyes." O Yongsan was also very sensitive to the aura of evil cultivators. "That's right, Yi Jioga is only a scapegoat. The real evil cultivators are from the bloodthirsty sect. They are still running rampant in Alchemy City. If we don't catch them soon, more spirit cultivators will be harmed in the future. To be honest, you were too rash this time. If I was the evil cultivator disguised as Guoyingshi, you would already be dead." Yi Jioga disagreed with O Yongsan. "I have my own way of identifying evil cultivators. In fact, I've already seen the evil cultivator who disguised himself as senior sister." O Yongsan's words were shocking. If he was sure that Yi Jioga wasn't a heretical cultivator, he wouldn't have dared to follow him. Yi Jioga's eyes lit up and immediately asked, "Where is that evil cultivator?" "In a tavern on the Western Street. I often went there to drink during that period of time. He must have purposely waited there for me to take the bait." O Yongsan recalled the situation at the time. The evil cultivator's disguise was too perfect. If he didn't already know that senior sister was dead, perhaps he really would have fallen for it. Since he hasn't succeeded yet, he probably won't give up on you. You're in danger right now. Do you want to cooperate with us? Yi Jioga acted like he was trying to kidnap Little Red Riding Hood. Are you sure you can deal with those evil cultivators? Oh Yongsan didn't believe him. Although he really wanted to avenge his senior sister, he didn't want to throw his life away. Yi Jioga calmly said, "You have no other choice." Of course she was confident in dealing with heretical cultivators. However, she and Oh Yongsan were still testing each other, so there was no need to tell him her trump card. Oh Yongsan's expression constantly changed. It was clear that he was struggling inside. He knew very well that he was being targeted by heretical cultivators. He would have to face them sooner or later. Senior sister Guo's cultivation was higher than his, but she still died in the hands of a heretical cultivator. Needless to say, he would die. Even so, he could not afford to easily believe that the two spiritualists in front of him were obviously in disguise. You don't have to make a decision in a hurry. This communication talisman is for you. If you need anything, let us know immediately. We'll rush over to save you. However, heretical cultivators have always been strange. It's better to take the initiative than to be attacked. Think about it carefully. Yi Jioga took out a communication talisman. This thing was expensive. She only got 3 of them. Even Yi Yu and Wan Xiang couldn't bear to give them to Oh Yongsan. Thank you. Oh Yongsan took the communication talisman. Needless to say, Yi Jioga's actions made him feel more at ease. He started to seriously consider the possibility of cooperation. I still have something to do. Excuse me. Yi Jioga said goodbye and left with Yi Yu. Chapter 175. Eldest Miss, that guy is still watching us from behind. Yi Yu whispered. There's no rush. He's definitely more anxious than us. Yi Jioga said indifferently. If she acted like she wanted Oh Yongsan no matter what, she was afraid that he would still act arrogant. She had to act like she didn't care about anything. Only then would he seriously consider the cooperation. How about I go watch him? Yi Yu was a little worried. There were only 2 second-rank alchemists left in the city. If Oh Yongsan was also killed, it would be even more difficult for them in the future. That's fine, but you have to be careful. If you meet Lu Yunfei again, take more pills. Big Sis doesn't have anything, but I have a lot of pills. Yi Jioga stuffed a few bottles of Clear Heart pills and Passion Fire pills into Yi Yu's hands. In fact, Yi Yu's stealth was very good. It was just that Lu Yunfei's charm technique was too strong. A hot-blooded young man like him was easily affected by her. Yi Yu awkwardly took the pills. Previously, he was a little distressed about the pills. He wouldn't use them unless it was absolutely necessary. If he could take a few in advance, he wouldn't be so easily bewitched by Lu Yunfei's charm technique. After Yi Jioga and Yi Yu separated, they took a few more turns and changed their clothes again before returning to the stronghold. They found that Luo Tian and Juni Chen were already back. Eldest Miss, were you being followed? Luo Tian saw Yi Jioga change into a yellow dress and dressed like a naive young girl. He guessed that something must have happened. Yes, I was followed on the way. How about you guys? How's the mission? Yi Jioga asked. We went to the alchemy tower and only saw that martial artist, Xiong Yunhu. We didn't see that Oh Yongsan. I heard that he went out for a drink. We also found news about Guo Yingxi. I heard that after the competition, she left the alchemy tower to pick herbs in the mountains. She came back a while ago and went out again. Based on the time she came back, it should be to set up a trap for Yi Yu. Luo Tian explained his investigation in detail. That Xiong Yunhu looks like a bear, but he's very afraid of death. He cried and screamed for the people of Alchemy City to protect him. He even insisted on staying in Dongfang Yao's private residence. If they didn't let him, he would roll around shamelessly, sneered Juni Chen. There's such a thing? Yi Jioga's impression of Xiong Yunhu was that he looked mighty and extraordinary. He didn't look like a coward. That's true. He even wanted to cause trouble with O Yongsan, but O Yongsan ignored him. Luo Tian nodded and said, I heard that O Yangsan has been very depressed recently, and often goes to the tavern to drink. Although evil cultivators were rampant in Alchemy City and the situation was tense, most of the spiritualists who were killed outside the city, so no one dared to leave the city. I see. By the way, where is Bai Songling? Isn't she with you? Yi Jioga asked again. She planned to tell Bai Songling about O Yongsan after she returned, lest she had to repeat it twice. He followed us to the medicine refinement tower for a spin, then said that he was going to look for Wan Xiang. Although Luo Tian hadn't seen Wan Xiang before, he had heard of him from his young mistress. It was said that Wan Xiang was more reliable than the blabbermouth Bai Songling. His cultivation was profound, and he was a strict person. Just as Luo Tian finished speaking, Bai Songling pushed open the door and walked in. Behind him was a dignified old man with white hair on his temples. Luo Tian and Juni Chen looked at the unfamiliar old man with vigilance. Yi Jioga also looked at the old man in confusion and asked, Big brother Bai, who is this uncle? She had seen all of Bai Songling's people in Alchemy City, but this imposing old man wasn't among them. Huh, even the eldest miss didn't recognize you. Wan Xiang, your disguise technique has improved. Bai Songling laughed and patted the old man's shoulder. The old man wiped his face with his hand, revealing a handsome face that seemed to have been carved by a knife. It was Wan Xiang. Big brother Wan, why are you here? Yi Jioga was pleasantly surprised. She thought that Wan Xiang was being watched too closely by the crown prince and couldn't come out. I found a body double. Wan Xiang gave a simple explanation. He had been in the justice ministry for so long and learned many tricks from all walks of life. He didn't bother using them in the past, but he couldn't care less at this critical moment. Yi Jioga asked, how is my little sister? Does she know about fifth concubine's death? Yi Rui was now imprisoned in Alchemy City because of her. She didn't even get to see fifth concubine one last time, so she felt a bit guilty. Fourth Miss Yi and your maids are under Li Zijuan's protection. They are currently safe, but I was afraid that she would be too excited to hear about her mother's death, so I hid it from her. On the other hand, your maid, Hua Dai, went missing some time ago. Li Zijuan's group found her corpse outside the city. Just like Gong Hongyu, she was skinned and had her blood sucked out. I saw her corpse and it didn't look like she had just died. It was more like she had been dead for a while. Wan Xiang spoke in a grave tone. Although his military power was taken away, Grandmaster Dongfang and Li Zijuan didn't restrict his movements and would notify him if anything happened. Yi Jioga asked, when did Hua Dai go missing? In fact, she had already guessed that Hua Dai was already dead. The Hua Dai who accused her that day was most likely the evil cultivator who was good at disguising himself. She had to admit that the evil cultivator was really powerful. Although she had some suspicions at that time, she still couldn't see any clues. The day Yi Yu was injured by Lu Yunfei. Wan Xiang's words confirmed Yi Jioga's speculation. She told him about seeing O Yongsan in the medicine shop and finally said, according to the current situation, the evil cultivator should have pretended to be Hua Dai to accuse me, then pretended to be Guo Yingxi to lure Yi Yu into the trap, and now he wants to harm O Yongsan. That O Yongsan really doesn't know what's good for him. He's still dawdling even when he's about to die. If it was me, I would have directly tied him up and brought him back. Bai Songling said while rubbing her hands. Our identities are shameful. If you tie him up and he runs away in anger, wouldn't we lose everything? If she could tie him up, Yi Jioga would have kept O Yongsan alive for the new year. Eldest Miss is right. With the current situation, Yongsan will cooperate with us sooner or later. What we need to do now is to plan how to use him to catch those evil cultivators. Wan Xiang said in a deep voice. That evil cultivator in disguise is not difficult to catch. I'm just afraid that Lu Yunfei will follow us. I'm afraid that we won't be able to stop them from joining forces. Bai Songling sighed. If they were in Shangjing, he would have directly asked Dongfang Ke for a few dozen martial artists to kill those evil cultivators. However, they were now the scapegoat and had to sneak in and out. If they mobilized a large number of people, before Lu Yunfei could make a move, the Crown Prince could lead a team to destroy them. Chapter 176. This is indeed a problem. It would be best if we could separate them and defeat them. Wan Xiang had already heard about Lu Yunfei's methods from Bai Songling. He was also very afraid of Blood Bell and Blood Sharp Sword. I have a way to lure Lu Yunfei away. Yi Jioga said. What way? Bai Songling turned his head to look at her and said, we only have a few people. If we need a lot of people to lure Lu Yunfei away, we won't be able to catch that evil cultivator. Don't worry, we don't need our people to lure her away. Yi Jioga took out a tightly bound purple scorpion from the bag he carried with him. It was also wrapped in thick yellow mud into a ball. Wan Xiang carefully looked at the scorpion and asked, this is the scorpion that lured you to the pile of rocks? Yes. Yi Jioga nodded. Damn, then what are we waiting for? Quickly blow this guy up. Bai Songling screamed. If it wasn't for this stupid thing, Yi Jioga wouldn't have been hit by the black pot. The huge purple scorpion heard Bai Songling's words and squeaked in fear. I didn't expect this big scorpion to have some intelligence. Bai Songling looked at the big scorpion in surprise. Ever since he raised the big mouth goo, he became more interested in spirit beasts and demonic beasts. Idiot, you can't even recognize the mutated beast treasure-seeking scorpion. Zhu Nichen said expressionlessly. What? Bai Songling couldn't care less about quarreling with Zhu Nichen. He stared at Yi Jioga and asked, this is a mutated beast? Treasure-seeking scorpion, it sounded very awesome. That's right, this is Lu Yunfei's treasure. As long as we use this thing as bait, Lu Yunfei will definitely fall for it. Yi Jioga shook the treasure-seeking scorpion in his hand. She already had the fat black mouse, so she didn't care about this treasure-seeking scorpion. Such a good treasure, it's better to keep it for myself. Bai Songling coveted it. Wan Xiang glared at him and asked Yi Jioga, what do you plan to do? I believe that Li Zijuan will be very interested in this treasure-seeking scorpion. Yi Jioga handed the treasure-seeking scorpion to Wan Xiang and said, as for how to do it, Big Brother Wan should know better than me. The yellow mud on the scorpion's body is mixed with an aura-concealing medicinal liquid. If you want to lure Lu Yunfei over, you just have to break the mud. I understand. Wan Xiang took the treasure-seeking scorpion. Although Dongfang Yao was the most powerful person in the city, the second most powerful person wasn't Dongfang Jianming. It was Dongfang Yao's prime disciple, Li Zijuan. Li Zijuan was a very cautious person. With Alchemy City in such a chaotic state and Dongfang Yao standing aside, he didn't dare to act recklessly. Everything he did was for the sake of safety, so he focused all of his efforts on stabilizing the city. Although they wouldn't make any mistakes this way, it wouldn't be of much use in capturing evil cultivators. However, Li Zijuan hated heretic cultivators very much. If he knew that this treasure-seeking scorpion belonged to a heretic cultivator, he would definitely be willing to help Lu Yunfei. After all, a mutated beast like the treasure-seeking scorpion was also a treasure to a spirit alchemist. Whether it was used to find special spirit herbs or to kill it for alchemy, it would be great. Yi Jioga stood up and said, all right, I'll leave the matter of capturing the disguised heretic cultivator to you guys. I'll go and refine some pills. Wan Xiang, Bai Songling, Luo Tian, and Jun Yichen weren't mediocre people. With O Yongsan's trap and the treasure that lured Lu Yunfei away, it was more than enough to plan an encirclement. There was no need for her to participate. It was more practical for her to refine more tranquil heart pills and spirit beast pills. Go! Bai Songling and Jun Yichen spoke in unison. They glanced at each other and snorted at the same time before looking away. They both wanted to use spirit beast pills to raise Gu, but Yi Jiuge couldn't refine a lot this time. If they wanted to get more spirit beast pills from Yi Jiuge, they had to perform well. The two immediately ignited their battle spirits and swore to take down the disguised heretic cultivator. Yi Jiuge went into seclusion for 2 days and 2 nights and refined a total of 38 bottles of tranquil heart pills and 16 bottles of tranquil heart pills. As for the emotionless fire pill, spirit recovery pill, and qi replenishing pill, she also refined some of them. When she opened the door and walked out, her legs were soft and her body looked like it had been hollowed out. "Eldest miss, are you all right?" Luo Tian looked at the bruises under Yi Jiuge's eyes. It was as if she had been punched twice. Even her snow-white skin couldn't hide her exhaustion. He sighed in his heart. He didn't expect that Yi Jiuge, who looked so fairy-like and delicate, would be quite terrifying when she fought with all her might. If he followed such a talented and hard-working person, he wouldn't be any worse off in the future. "I'm fine. How's O Yongsan?" Yi Jiuge felt that 2 days was enough for O Yongsan to think. If he still didn't agree, then he shouldn't blame her for using violence. O Yongsan already sent a message yesterday. He agreed to cooperate with us to lure the heretic cultivator. Luo Tian said. "Then what do you plan to do? Is the plan ready?" Yi Jiuge had been busy refining pills for the past few days and didn't have time to participate in their discussion. "It's all ready. We plan to let O Yongsan leave the city and pretend to escape. Then, we'll set up an ambush outside the city. Wan Xiang has also prepared everything. We're just waiting for you," Luo Tian said. Although Yi Jiuge wasn't present when the plan was made, she was the most important spiritual leader of this small group. Without her, Bai Songling and Jun Yichen would be able to turn the sky upside down. "What about Yi Yu? He's with O Yongsan. Did he meet Lu Yunfei?" Yi Jiuge asked again. "No. Recently, the city has been very strict. All the patrolling spiritualists are equipped with evil energy testing tools. She doesn't dare to act rashly." Luo Tian shook his head. "Give this bottle of pills to O Yongsan. We'll move tomorrow." Yi Jiuge took out a bottle of clear heart pills. Although O Yongsan didn't lack pills as a spirit alchemist, they wouldn't be as powerful as the ones she refined. "Eldest miss, how many bottles of spirit beast pills have you refined?" Luo Tian embarrassedly asked. "Not many." Yi Jiuge didn't want Jun Yichen and Bai Songling to know about her stock. She didn't want them to chase after her like a debt collector. "Oh." Luo Tian couldn't hide the disappointment on her face. His lil red was about to advance. If it could eat some spirit beast pills, it would be less painful. "I'll give 1 bottle to each of you." Yi Jiuge took out 4 bottles and gave them to Luo Tian. "Help me distribute them to them. Don't forget to record it down. 1 bottle costs 100 silver coins." Yi Jiuge wasn't a nouveau riche. During this time, she had spent a lot of money on alchemy. She couldn't act like she used to. 100 silver coins per bottle was already the cost price. After all, she used the best ingredients. If she sold them to others, she would definitely double the price. Chapter 177. I'll definitely deliver the pills to them. "Young miss, you've worked hard. Have a good rest," Luo Tian said excitedly. I'm going to sleep. Don't disturb me unless the sky falls down. Yi Jioga's legs were weak and her body was weak. She floated back to her room and fell asleep as soon as her head touched the bed. It was already noon the next day when she woke up. She was so hungry that she had to get up to look for food. Fortunately, Luo Tian was a careful person. He had been cooking congee in the kitchen and immediately brought it up when she woke up. He didn't forget to add 2 spicy and sour side dishes. Yi Jioga didn't care about being reserved and gulped down 2 bowls of congee. Only then did she have the strength to speak. Where are the others? Bai Songling and the young master have left the city to make arrangements. Yi Yu is still with O Yongsan. They'll leave the city tonight when the gates are about to close. Luo Tian put away the bowls and chopsticks. Bai Songling originally wanted to stay with Yi Jioga, but after Junichen's provocation, she left with him. The two had already agreed to compete to see who would fall into the trap first. Then let's go now. Yi Jioga stood up. Setting up a trap was an important task. She couldn't leave it to Junichen and Bai Songling, these 2 unreliable enemies. After Yi Jioga and Luo Tian left the city, Luo Tian released Lil Red. The once big-bellied Lil Red had changed into a new appearance. His 2 small eyes were full of vigor. They were no longer long, but round and fat. He looked very rich, like a chafer. The 2 cicada wings on its back had become very strong. Dragging 2 more scorpions wouldn't be a problem anymore. Go find the young master. Luo Tian ordered Lil Red. It immediately flapped its wings and flew forward. Yi Jioga and Luo Tian quickly followed behind Little Red. The 2 ran for almost 4 hours before arriving in front of a hidden cave. The cave was overgrown with weeds and a short crooked tree. It was hard to notice if one didn't look carefully. Yi Jioga and Luo Tian didn't go in immediately. Instead, they let Lil Red check the situation so that it wouldn't ruin Bai Songling and Junichen's arrangements. Not long after Lil Red flew in, the big mouth flew out together with it. After eating the bottle of spirit beast pills given by Bai Songling, the parasite insect, which originally only had a big mouth, also underwent some changes. The most obvious change was that its mouth had become smaller. It had a delicate head, a pure white body, and a pair of faintly glowing wings. It looked quite elegant, but no one knew what special use it would have. The 2 goo worms circled around in front of Luo Tian and landed on his shoulders. "Eldest miss, you can go in now," Luo Tian said to Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga followed Luo Tian into the cave. The entrance was a long and narrow path. After turning a corner, it was a completely different world. The cavern was very spacious, and there were a few openings on the walls. He had no idea where they led to. After Big Mouth flew to one of the caves, Bai Songling popped her head out and greeted Yi Jioga, "Miss, you're here." Junichen also emerged from another hole and looked at Yi Jioga with a reserved expression. "How's your setup?" Yi Jioga looked left and right but didn't see any clues. "Almost done. I guarantee that the bloodthirsty sex evil cultivators won't be able to return," Bai Songling said proudly. "With me around, I guarantee that the bloodthirsty sex evil cultivators won't be able to survive," Junichen rushed to say. "So confident?" Yi Jioga opened his spiritual eye and searched around carefully. He immediately felt a little numb. He saw that the bottom of the ordinary gray wall was actually filled with black dots. Needless to say, it must be Junichen's masterpiece. After this guy recovered his strength, not only could he control goo, he could also summon poisonous insects and snakes. Other than these densely packed poisonous insects and snakes, Bai Songling also set up many traps. If the evil cultivators really chased them here, they would definitely see ghosts immediately. "Eldest miss, it's clean here. Come up and guard with me." Bai Songling waved to Yi Jioga. No need, I'll wait outside to ambush. As a reserved lady, Yi Jioga really didn't want these long creatures to stay in the same space. Alright then. Bai Songling was a little disappointed that no one appreciated her magnificent feat. Jun Yichen didn't have any objections. After all, with Luo Tian accompanying her outside, it was no different from him accompanying her alone. Yi Jioga and Luo Tian left the cave. After restoring the weeds and trees in front of them, they each found a place to squat down. Night fell quickly. The gloomy night sky and the mountain wind whistled, bringing with it a damp and cold atmosphere. Yi Jioga squatted down on a big banyan tree branch and looked into the distance. Yi Yu followed by Songling to scout this cave, so there shouldn't be any mistakes. However, as long as they didn't come, her heart couldn't be at ease. Not long after, a group of figures appeared at the pitch-black foot of the mountain. They were running up the mountain quickly. Yi Jioga immediately became alert. She knew that the show was coming. This time, Yangsen had made a detailed plan to sneak away. He secretly used his refined high-grade pills and a large sum of money to hire 4 intermediate spiritualists to escort him away. These spiritualists were outsiders and had stayed in Alchemy City for a long time. Under the temptation of Yangsen's money, they agreed without hesitation. Yi Yu changed his appearance and disguised himself as a wind spiritualist called Feng Qingyang. He was also among the group that escorted Yangsen. Seeing that they were not far from the cave, he pretended to be tired and asked, "Alchemist Yangsen, it's getting late. Why don't we find a place to rest?" A spiritualist called Xia Chenfeng said in a deep voice, "We're still very close to Alchemy City. Maybe we're still in the hunting range of evil cultivators. For safety's sake, let's hurry for a while." The other 2 spiritualists agreed with Xia Chenfeng's opinion. Although they were very tired, they didn't dare to rest when they thought about evil cultivators. Evil cultivators are scary, but the forest at night is also very dangerous. We've been running for a few hours and are very tired. If we encounter a powerful beast, I'm afraid we won't be able to handle it. Yi Yu said reasonably. After hearing his words, the spiritualists were a little shaken and looked at their employer, Yangsen. Yangsen pretended to hesitate for a moment before he said to Yi Yu, "Feng Qingyang, you're a wind spiritualist, so you're the fastest. Why don't you scout ahead and see if there's a suitable place to rest?" "Yes." Yi Yu nodded and ran up the mountain like the wind. Once he was out of the sight of Yangsen and the other spiritualists, he quickly ran to the vicinity of the cave. "Yi Yu, over here." Yi Jioga waved at Yi Yu from under the banyan tree. Yi Yu took a few steps and arrived next to Yi Jioga. "Are Bai Songling and the others ready?" "I'll bring Yangsen over in a moment." "Are they ready? Did the disguised evil cultivator follow us?" Yi Jioga asked. "I'm not sure, but Yangsen hired 3 spiritualists to escort him. I suspect that one of them is a disguised evil cultivator," Yi Yu said in a deep voice. Chapter 178. Who are the spiritualists that Yangsen invited? Do you have a target in mind? Yi Jioga asked. If they could confirm the identity of the disguised evil cultivator, they would have more confidence in taking action. Yangsen invited 3 spiritualists. One is called Hu Lin, an intermediate water spiritualist. He talks a lot and is a fence-sitter. One is called Jiangshungjia, an intermediate wood spiritualist. He looks simple and honest and doesn't talk much. The last one is called Xia Chenfeng, an advanced earth spiritualist. He always wanted to change routes. I think he sensed something. I suspect that Xia Chenfeng is the culprit, but I don't have any solid evidence yet. Yi Yu had been following Yangsen for a while and had investigated these spiritualists. Although there was no problem with the identity of these spiritualists, his intuition told him that the disguised evil cultivator was among them. We'll know after we capture them. Yi Jioga said. As long as she had time to observe carefully, she was confident that she could find the culprit. Okay, I'll lure them over now. Yi Yu jumped down the tree and quickly returned to Yangsan's side. How is it? Did you find the place? Yangsan pretended to be tired. In fact, he was very tired. Spirit alchemists were very respected in Kanglan continent. Both the righteous and evil paths would treat them with respect. He was usually obsessed with alchemy and rarely went out. During this period of time, he was scared and scared. After rushing for such a long time, he was exhausted. I found a hidden cave ahead. It's very suitable for lodging. Yi Yu said calmly. Yangsan didn't wait for the other spiritualists to speak and directly said, then let's go take a look. Yi Yu brought Yangsan and the others to the cave. Just as they were about to enter, Xiaofan Feng stopped and doubtfully said, Brother Feng, have you checked this cave? I just went in and took a look. I didn't find anything unusual. Yi Yu shook his head and said, even if there is a demonic beast inside, can't we 5 spiritualists take it down? Brother Feng is right. If we can't even take down a demonic beast, we can forget about passing through the forest. Yangsan showed a very dissatisfied look. He had spent so much money to hire someone to escort him, but in the end, the guard was afraid of death and was overcautious. No matter which employer it was, they would not be satisfied. I just think it's better to be careful. Since Brother Feng is so sure, then just pretend I didn't say anything, Xiaofan Feng said with a straight face. Let's go in. Yi Yu lit a torch and walked into the cave first. Yangsan and the others also walked in. Xiaofan Feng carefully searched the cave once. Seeing that the inside was empty, but there were many holes above, he immediately said with some dissatisfaction, Brother Feng, do you know where these holes lead to? It's just a few empty holes. If Brother Xia is afraid, you can just seal them up. Yi Yu swept a clean spot on the ground and called Yangsan over to sit. Yangsan sat down next to Yi Yu, then raised his head and said to Xiaofan Feng, aren't you an earth-type spiritualist? Sealing a few holes shouldn't be a difficult task for you, right? Hu Lin and Jiang Shengjie also sat down, looking like they didn't want to leave. Xiaofan Feng had no choice but to use his earth-type spirit energy to build 3 yellow walls to seal the holes. After finishing, he was a bit tired, but he didn't want to sit with the others. He found a quiet corner and took out his dry food and water bottle to eat. Alchemist Ouyang, come, have some water. Hu Lin attentively handed over his water bottle. No need, I have my own. Yangsan took off the water bottle on his waist and politely refused Hu Lin. Before he came here, Yi Yu had already warned him that there might be a disguised evil cultivator among the 3 guards, so he must not get too close to them, let alone eat anything they gave him. Hu Lin didn't feel embarrassed after being refused and continued to smile. He continued to talk to Yangsan, Alchemist Ouyang, have you thought about where to go after leaving Alchemy City? I've been out for so long, I really want to go home. Yangsan said with a normal expression. He only asked Hu Lin and the others to escort him to the capital and he would walk the rest of the way. Sigh, Alchemist Ouyang is quite unlucky. You traveled thousands of miles to participate in the competition, only to encounter something like this. If it weren't for the evil cultivators, it wouldn't have been difficult for you to win the competition. Hu Lin flattered. Sigh, it's good enough that I'm still alive. I don't dare to think about the competition. Yangsan bitterly smiled. Hu Lin patted his thin chest and said, Alchemist Ouyang, don't be afraid. With us here, we will definitely protect you. Hu Lin was small and didn't have much offensive power, so he had always been doing poorly. It was rare for him to have a second-rank alchemist by his side. He really wanted to hug Yangsan's thigh and call him father. Xiaofan Feng held the water bottle and sneered. He didn't hide his disdain for Hu Lin at all. The one with the surname Xia, I've tolerated you for a long time. Alchemist Ouyang invited you here to be his bodyguard, not to be his boss. Who are you acting weird all day? Brother Feng found such a good place, yet you're still so picky. What's the meaning of this? Hu Lin shouted at Xiachen Feng in dissatisfaction. Surnamed Feng doesn't even say anything. What are you pretending to be? Xiachen Feng put down the water bottle and sneered. You. Hu Lin was so angry that he was trembling. However, Xiachen Feng was a small realm higher than him, so he was no match for him. Hu Lin looked at Yi Yu, wanting to find help. However, he saw that Yi Yu was resting with his eyes closed, as if he didn't want to cause trouble. Coward! Hu Lin scolded in his heart and went to win over Jiang Shengjie. Brother Jiang, don't always look like a taciturn gourd. Otherwise, you won't even know when people come knocking. Hearing this, Jiang Shengjie just laughed and continued to collect firewood. Soon, he set up a bonfire rack. It was humid deep in the mountains at night, and it got colder as the night went on. Not only could a bonfire drive away the cold, it could also drive away wild beasts. Therefore, the others were happy to see him start a fire. Seeing that one or two people ignored him, Hu Lin felt that there was no point in it, so he obediently shut up. Although Yi Yu was resting with his eyes closed, his ears were eavesdropping on the movements around him. Originally, he had some doubts about Xiachen Feng. However, with Hu Lin trying to sow discord, he couldn't make up his mind. At this time, Jiang Shengjie's bonfire was already built. He took out a flint from his bag and knocked out a string of sparks, successfully igniting the bonfire. The moment the warm bonfire was lit, a strange pungent smell and smoke filled the air. Yi Yu suddenly opened his eyes, but found that his body was weak and he couldn't move. Chapter 179. Yi Yu's body was numb, and his head was dizzy. He felt a sharp pain in his arm. Black Tyrant, who was hiding under his sleeve, bit through his skin and began to take the poison. The others weren't so lucky. Hu Lin's eyes rolled back and he fell to the ground. Xiachen Feng was furious, but he also couldn't resist. Yangsen was a bit better and still had the strength to point at Jiang Shengjie, who was squatting by the fire, and scolded, "Who are you? Why are you plotting against us?" "Ha, who do you think I am?" Jiang Shengjie's honest face twisted under the light of the fire. "You are a heretic, and I have no grudge against you. Why are you following me?" Yangsen shouted in horror. "You can only blame yourself for coming to Alchemy City. In your next life, reincarnate as an ordinary person." Jiang Shengjie grinned. A green wooden saber appeared in his hand and slashed at Yangsen. Yi Yu's spirit force recovered. He pulled Yangsen to the side and dodged Jiang Shengjie's attack. Jiang Shengjie's saber missed and looked at Yi Yu in surprise. "Brat, you can still move after being hit by my muscle-weakening powder. Do you have some treasure on you?" With that said, the blue spirit force around his body surged. His cultivation actually went from mid-rank to high rank. Then, the wooden saber in his hand turned into a spear and stabbed at Yi Yu with a sharp light. Although Black Tyrant had cured most of the poison in Yi Yu's body, he still couldn't move freely. Not to mention, he was carrying Yangsen. Seeing that Jiang Shengjie's saber was about to cut his head, he quickly shouted, "What are you waiting for?" Just as Yi Yu finished speaking, countless black wasps suddenly burst out from the wall and buzzed toward Jiang Shengjie. Jiang Shengjie's expression changed. The green light on his body immediately turned into a vine armor to block the wasp's attack. He swung his saber and attacked even more fiercely. More than half of the wasps were immediately cut down. At this time, Bai Songling's proud voice came from behind the wall, "Little mute, I told you that your little bugs are useless. Watch me. Just as he finished speaking, countless gray-green vines emerged from the ground under Jiang Shengjia's feet and tightly wrapped around his calf. Humph. Zhu Nichen didn't dare to show any weakness. He controlled the venomous snake to spray venom on Jiang Shengjia's body. Very quickly, a large hole was formed in his rattan armor. Yi Yu had also caught his breath. He sneaked into Jiang Shengjia's shadow and wanted to use his puppet killer to take him down. Jiang Shengjia was greatly alarmed by the repeated attacks. He knew that he had fallen into a trap and immediately lost the will to fight. He formed a seal with both hands, and the rattan armor on his body immediately burst out with a putrid black gas that filled the entire cave. The venomous snakes and bees all fell to the ground in the black gas. Bai Songling immediately held her breath and stepped back. At the same time, she took out the antidote pill. Yi Yu did not take out the medicine. Instead, he rushed forward to save the unconscious Yangsen and Hu Lin. Seeing this, Bai Songling cursed inwardly and turned to save Xia Chenfeng, who was closest to him. If they were poisoned, they would have the help of the poisonous earth dragon Gu. If these three people were poisoned, they would die immediately. At this time, Bai Songling's big mouth Gu flapped its wings and flew out. Her small mouth suddenly widened several times, and in one breath, she inhaled the poisonous smoke into her stomach. Seeing this, Jiang Shengjia was even more alarmed. He sped up and flew towards the cave entrance. He passed through the narrow passage, and was about to escape. Suddenly, a purple lightning snake lashed out from the cave entrance. The lightning snake's aura was wild and fierce. It was the power of a high-grade spirit weapon. Jiang Shengjia had nowhere to hide in the narrow passage. He could only gather all the spirit energy and evil energy in his arm to take this attack. Boom! The purple lightning snake landed on Jiang Shengjia's arm, and several green and black evil energy splattered out. Jiang Shengjia felt like he was hit by a running bull demon. His arm was in so much pain that it felt like it was about to break. His internal organs were also seriously injured. He opened his mouth and vomited blood. His body could not help but fly back into the cave. Yi Yu and Bai Songling had already saved Yangsen and the other two and placed them in the empty passage. They immediately freed up their hands to deal with Jiang Shengjia. Under the attacks of the few people, Jiang Shengjia was finally beaten to the ground. Stinking brat, I want to see just how amazing your disguise is. Bai Songling roughly reached out to pull Jiang Shengjia's face in an attempt to find any traces of his disguise. Unfortunately, even after pulling Jiang Shengjia's face until it turned red, he could not find any flaws. Three heroes, please let me go. I shouldn't have been possessed and tried to steal Pill Master Ouyang's pills and silver. Jiang Shengjia cried and begged for mercy. Is that so? I thought you wanted to skin him, pull out his bones, and dig out his spirit root to show respect to your ancestor? Yi Jiuge sneered and walked in front of Jiang Shengjia. I don't know what you're talking about. I just wanted to knock you out and steal some things. Jiang Shengjia returned to his previous honest appearance. Alright, stop pretending. We all know that you were sent by the bloodthirsty sect and that you're the best at disguising yourself. How many people did you bring, who were your accomplices, and why did the bloodthirsty sect's ancestor send you all to Alchemy City? If you tell us the truth, I'll give you a quick death. Bai Songling viciously said. I really don't know any bloodthirsty sect's ancestor. I'm just an ordinary wood spiritualist. I don't know any heretical cultivators. Jiang Shengjia cried like a coward. If it wasn't for the evil energy he released to save his life, they would have truly thought that they caught the wrong person. Stinking brat, you're still so stubborn even in the face of death. If you say you're not a heretical cultivator, then what was that black energy you released just now? Was it your dog fart? Bai Songling cursed. Brother Bai, there's no need to waste your breath on him. Cripple his arms and legs first, then slowly interrogate him. Luo Tian looked at Jiang Shengjie as if he was looking at a dead man. Their blood-cloak tribe was exterminated by the bloodthirsty sect's ancestor, so he hated the bloodthirsty sect to the bone. Without another word, he lifted his foot and broke Jiang Shengjie's arms and legs. Jiang Shengjie lay on the ground with his arms and legs twisted unnaturally. Even though he was sweating from the pain, he would never admit that he was a heretical cultivator. Yi Yu frowned deeply. He originally thought that he would be able to clear Yi Jioga's name after catching him, but he didn't expect to run into such a stubborn person. Why don't we hand him over to Li Zijuan? They have an artifact that can detect evil energy, so they might have a way to deal with him. Bai Songling had no other choice. It's useless. Jiang Shengjie has always been staying in an inn not far from the alchemy tower. The training soldiers have also checked there several times, but they didn't find out that he's a heretical cultivator. Yi Yu didn't find anything strange about Jiang Shengjie along the way, so he didn't believe that Li Zijuan could find anything. Chapter 180. Even if we can't detect evil energy, with Ouyang Sen and the others' testimony, we can prove that he is a heretic cultivator, Bai Songling said, unconvinced. If he insists that he was possessed and wanted to rob us, Li Zijuan will at most lock him up. We won't be able to achieve our goal. Yi Yu shook his head. Their goal was to clear their young miss suspicions. If they can't prove that this guy is a murderous heretic cultivator, then it's useless. This won't work, that won't work, then what should we do? Bai Songling said dejectedly. Yi Yu couldn't help but look at Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga didn't say anything. She had already opened her spiritual eye, secretly observing Jiang Shengjie's body. On the surface, Jiang Shengjie looked like a normal spirit practitioner, without any evil energy on him. But she had just discovered something strange. Jiang Shengjie's back had a palm-sized brown wound. It looked like an old wound. But the strange thing was, every time his spirit energy moved to that wound, it would speed up. Yi Jioga suddenly had an idea. She looked up and said to Yi Yu and the others, "Turn him over and press him down." Yi Yu was startled, but quickly regained her senses, flipping Jiang Shengjie over and pressing his upper body down. Bai Songling and Luo Tian pressed his lower body down. Jiang Shengjie seemed to have realized something, shouting with all his might, "I am a spirit practitioner, you can't torture me, otherwise I'll go to the Spirit Practitioner Alliance and sue you for mistreating prisoners." "TCH, you want to kill me, you dare to sue me for mistreating prisoners, what's wrong with me torturing you?" Bai Songling sneered. Yi Jioga ignored Jiang Shengjie's noise. She took out her thunder fire needle, injecting spirit energy into it and pierced the wound on Jiang Shengjie's waist. Before the needle even touched Jiang Shengjie, the black gas on his body rose again, his crippled hands and feet were instantly healed. He struggled with all his might, instantly throwing Yi Yu and Bai Songling away. Seeing this, Luo Tian immediately hugged Jiang Shengjie's thigh. The blood cloak Miao tribe, besides refining Gu, also trained their bodies. Luo Tian's body training technique was one of the best in the tribe. Using all her strength to suppress Jiang Shengjie, he didn't manage to break free. Yi Yu and Bai Songling immediately turned over and pressed Jiang Shengjie down again. Jiang Shengjie struggled like a trapped beast. Countless black gas burst out from his body and was absorbed by Bai Songling's big mouth Gu. Bai Songling used her spiritual power to create a green vine net to trap Jiang Shengjie, but it was useless. In the end, Yi Jioga used his lightning ability and chopped at Jiang Shengjie's neck. Jiang Shengjie's entire body twitched, his hair charred black, and he finally fainted. *CK, I didn't expect this guy to pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger. Bai Songling wiped his sweat. He had thought that Jiang Shengjie had been beaten to a pulp. He hadn't expected Jiang Shengjie to counterattack so fiercely. If not for Luo Tian holding him down, he might have really escaped. Why did this guy suddenly go crazy? Did young mistress notice something? Yi Yu raised his head and looked at Yi Jiuge. Yi Jiuge squatted beside Jiang Shengjie and tore open the clothes on his back. He pointed at the old scar that was the size of a palm and said, "There's something inside. If I'm not wrong, there should be a high-grade magic artifact that can restrain evil energy inside. There's something inside." Bai Songling pressed hard on the scar on Jiang Shengjie's back and found that there was indeed something inside. It was about the size of a fist and was hard. Even if he has a magic artifact that can conceal evil energy, it's impossible to disguise it so perfectly. Yi Yu couldn't understand this point. Although he was also an expert in disguise, even if he wore a human skin mask, there would still be traces. But Jiang Shengjie didn't have any traces at all. I remember that water and wood dual attribute spiritualists can practice a technique called flesh regrowth technique. He should have used the flesh regrowth technique to fuse his skin with the victim's human skin mask. Look, other than the scar on his back, the color of his skin is very well proportioned. This is not normal. Yi Jiuge heroically tore Jiang Shengjie's clothes apart. Yi Yu, Bai Songling and the others were speechless. But Luo Tian didn't care. Their Miao tribe girls were much more valiant than Yi Jiuge. Taking off a man's clothes was really nothing. He carefully observed Jiang Shengjie's exposed naked skin and found that it was well proportioned as if it had been dyed. Although spiritualists weren't afraid of heat or cold, the exposed skin outside the clothes was always a little different from other parts of the body. Especially the huge difference between men's skin, it was really strange. I've heard of the flesh regrowth technique before, but this technique can only regenerate the skin. It's usually used by women to maintain their skin. I didn't expect this guy to be able to combine it with the disguise technique. Bai Songling admired Jiang Shengjie's creativity. No matter what, we've finally caught this evil cultivator in disguise. Once we send him to Li Zijuan, we'll be able to clear the suspicion of eldest Mississippi. Yi Yu heaved a sigh of relief. Finally, his efforts were not in vain. That's right. Bai Songling said while reaching out to touch Jiang Shengjie's skin. What are you touching? Zhu Nichen, who had been silent all this while, narrowed his eyes and looked at Bai Songling's claws that were reaching for Jiang Shengjie's lower body in confusion. I'm looking for the position where he fused with the human skin. No matter how magical this flesh regrowth technique is, it can't be made out of nothing. Bai Songling said confidently. As a wood spirit practitioner, he was also very curious about this kind of technique. Yi Jiuge watched Bai Songling examine Jiang Shengjie with great interest. He even suggested very kindly, "Why don't you take off his pants and have a look? I think the place where he used the flesh regrowth technique should be the place that no one wants to see." Bai Songling's face suddenly froze. It was a great shame for him to touch a man's crotch. Haven't you been a coroner before? Just pretend that you're doing an autopsy. Yi Jiuge persuaded with a smile. Bai Songling's face twitched. He gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, I'll pretend that I'm doing an autopsy, but you're not allowed to see it. Eldest miss, you're also tired. Do you want to take a rest?" Yi Yu asked implicitly. Yi Jiuge was like a fairy in his heart. He shouldn't let such a wretched scene stain his eyes. Okay. Yi Jiuge turned around with regret. He thought to himself, these guys are really conservative. Back when I was practicing medicine, the chickens I touched were better than the ones you've seen. Bai Songling made up his mind and took off Jiang Shengjie's pants. He found that the fusion point of the flesh regrowth technique was indeed the man's indescribable place. No wonder we couldn't find it. This guy is really good at choosing the place. Bai Songling said in disdain. He took out a small storage bag from Jiang Shengjie's crotch. It was the size of a palm and dark red in color. It didn't look eye-catching at all, but it was undoubtedly a storage bag that couldn't be bought with 10,000 gold. Chapter 181. Ancestor Bloodthirsty is really generous. He even gave them a storage bag, Luo Tian said with jealousy and hatred. That's right. Even when the Blood Cloak Miao tribe was at its peak, they didn't have such a thing. It wasn't that they didn't have the money to buy it, but they didn't have the connections. It was said that they could only get it in Great Soul City. Lu Yunfei also has a storage bag, Yi Yu added. He had followed Lu Yunfei for a long time and had seen her use it several times. Seems like this bloodthirsty patriarch isn't simple. Yi Jiuge's face was heavy. To be able to give his subordinates storage bags, besides being rich, bloodthirsty patriarch should have some connections. Who cares if he's simple or not, as long as he's on the Spiritualist Alliance's wanted list, he will die. Bai Songling said as he violently erased Jiang Shengjia's mark in the Qinkuan bag and poured out the things inside. Human skin. Piles and piles of human skin. The human skin gave off a faint smell of blood, and the empty eyes on their faces told of their pain before they died. Bloodthirsty sect really deserves to die. Bai Songling couldn't help but kick Jiang Shengjia again. Alright, 2 kicks are enough. If you kick him to death, we'll have wasted our efforts. Yi Yu quickly stopped Bai Songling. Yeah, with these things, we can bring Jiang Shengjia to justice and clear Mrs. Suspicion. Luo Tian nodded. Bai Songling's face looked better. He held the storage bag and said to Yi Jiuge, Miss, although this storage bag isn't big, it can be used. Keep it for yourselves. I don't need it. Yi Jiuge shook her head decisively. She felt disgusted at the thought that this thing was taken out from Jiang Shengjia's crotch. Lu Yunfei has another one. Yi Yu also felt that it wasn't appropriate for Yi Jiuge to use this thing. It was better to take Lu Yunfei's. Alright, then leave it with me first. We'll discuss how to deal with this storage bag later. Bai Songling put the storage bag away. Get O Yangsen and the others down first. Yi Jiuge said. They were important witnesses. He was still a criminal, so it wasn't appropriate for him to show his face. Only O Yangsen and the others could clear his name. Yi Yu brought O Yangsen, Xia Chenfeng, and Hu Lin down. 3 antidote pills woke them up. Don't kill me, don't kill me. Hu Lin screamed as soon as he opened his eyes. Brother Hu, calm down. We've already caught that heretic cultivator. Yi Yu hurriedly held him back. What evil cultivator? Are you saying that Jiang Shengjia is an evil cultivator? Hu Lin was confused. He had fainted earlier, so he didn't see Jiang Shengjia's true form. Yeah. Just as Yi Yu finished speaking, O Yangsen and Xia Chenfeng woke up as well. Has the heretic been caught? O Yangsen asked Yi Yu excitedly. Yes. Yi Yu nodded. What the hell is going on? Xia Chenfeng frowned. He kept having the feeling that this fellow surnamed Feng and Ouyangsen seemed to be hiding something from him. Brother Xia, is this how you treat your savior? Although Xia Chenfeng's suspicions had been cleared, Yi Yu still did not have a good impression of him. Humph, my savior? Xia Chenfeng's eyes swept over by Songling and the others as he sneered, I think they're playing us like monkeys. Obviously, he had already seen that Yi Yu was using O Yangsen to lure the heretic cultivator. Heretic cultivators are treacherous and everyone has the right to punish them. Brother Xia, you don't have to be so calculative. When we send this heretic cultivator to Medicine Master Dongfang, we will not forget your contribution. Yi Jiuge tried to smooth things over. You really want to give us a contribution? Hu Lin was originally prepared to make a scene after hearing Xia Chenfeng's words, but when he heard this, he immediately changed his expression. Of course. If it weren't for your help, how could we have possibly caught this vicious criminal? Yi Jioga said in an awe-inspiring manner as if he was serious. Her most important goal was to clear her name, so there was no harm in giving the credit to Xia Chenfeng and the others. Anyway, there were still Lu Yunfei and Su Junqing, the two big heads. Catching them would be the biggest contribution. Humph. Xia Chenfeng snorted coldly and finally stopped making a scene. This guy killed my senior sister. I want him to have a taste of living hell. Yangsen stared fiercely at the unconscious Jiang Shengjie and pounced on him, wanting to vent his anger by beating him up. Brother Yangsen, calm down. Yi Yu hurriedly stopped him. Yangsen's fist had already landed on Jiang Shengjie's body. However, the moment he punched him, he noticed that something was wrong. The cold touch was like that of a dead person's. Yangsen stretched out his hand to feel Jiang Shengjie's breath and immediately cried out, "How did he die?" "What?" Bai Songling hurriedly pushed Yangsen away and crouched down to feel Jiang Shengjie's pulse. "He really was dead. It wasn't me. I only punched him once. I didn't use any strength at all." Yangsen hurriedly shook his head. "He committed suicide." Yi Jioga glanced at him and saw that Jiang Shengjie had died by severing his own meridians. What a miscalculation, thinking that everything would be fine after he fainted. He didn't think that he could commit suicide. This was troublesome. Even if he's dead, he's still an evil cultivator. Dragging him to Alchemy City will still be useful. Bai Songling stood up with a dark expression and said, "Let's not waste any more time. Let's hurry back." It was already late at night. If they rushed back at night, they would arrive at Alchemy City at daybreak. Let's go now." Hu Lin's fighting spirit was high. It would be a waste not to take such a free merit. Xia Chenfeng and Yangsen also felt that staying here was fraught with trouble, so they nodded in agreement. Yi Jioga's group then carried Jiang Shengjie's body towards Alchemy City. Along the way, Juni Chen used his poisonous snakes and bees to open a path. No demonic beasts came to disturb them, so the group smoothly arrived at Alchemy City. At this time, the sky was already bright. Alchemy City had already opened its gates to check the people entering and leaving. The guards saw Yi Jioga's group covered in dust and carrying a black bag, so they immediately became vigilant. "Stop, what's inside?" One of the guards raised his spear and pointed it at Bai Songling, who was standing at the front. "This is the corpse of an evil cultivator," Bai Songling proudly said. "What?" The guards thought they heard wrong. "We are the guards of a second-rank alchemist, Yangsen. Alchemist Yangsen was attacked by an evil cultivator outside the city. We did our best to resist and finally killed the evil cultivator." Bai Songling's voice wasn't loud, but it caused an uproar among the guards. The captain of the guards came out and carefully looked at Bai Songling and Yangsen's group. He cautiously said, "Alchemist Yangsen, this matter regarding evil cultivators is not something ordinary. I can't make this decision alone. Please wait for a moment, I'll go ask my superior." With that, the captain had the other guards protect Yangsen's group while he hurriedly ran towards the alchemy tower. "Xiao Bai, you're making such a big deal, what if something goes wrong?" Yi Yu whispered in disapproval. "You know how famous the young miss is right now. If we don't make a big deal out of it, how can we clear her name?" Bai Songling was very thoughtful. Chapter 182. Alright. Yi Yu immediately stopped talking when he heard that it was for the sake of his mistress. Not long after the captain of the gatekeepers left, he quickly came over with a group of people. The leader was wearing a purple gold crown and a purple robe with a 5-clawed golden dragon embroidered on it. He was arrogant. Who else could it be other than Dongfang Jianming? Why is this guy here? Bai Songling thought to himself. He had discussed it with Wan Xiang when he left the city last night. If they caught the disguised evil cultivator, they would put on a show at the city gate and Wan Xiang would come to their rescue. He didn't expect the crown prince to come instead of Wan Xiang. What was even more unexpected was that Su Junqing also came. Although they were all disguised, it would be troublesome if Su Junqing saw through them. Bai Songling couldn't help but shrink behind O Yongsen when he thought of this. Did you catch the evil cultivator? The crown prince looked at O Yongsen and the others. Before O Yongsen could speak, Hu Lin had already stepped forward and said loudly, "Yes, it was us." When he was at the city gate just now, he wanted to take the black cloth bag containing Jiang Shengjia's body to show his heroic nature. Unfortunately, no one agreed. O Yongsen and Xia Chenfeng weren't on his side, so he could only give up. This time, he finally found a chance to be in the limelight. "Who are you?" The crown prince glanced at the short Hu Lin, who didn't even reach his chest. He didn't believe that this weak guy could catch the evil cultivator. "I'm alchemist Ouyang's guard, Hu Lin." Hu Lin said loudly. "Alchemist Ouyang, didn't I tell you to wait for news in the medicine refinement building and not to go out at will? Why did you sneak out of the city?" The crown prince asked unkindly. "I'm not a criminal. I can leave the city whenever I want. It has nothing to do with your highness." O Yongsen replied with an unkind expression. He was also a highly respected prince in his own country, so he didn't put the crown prince in his eyes. The crown prince was about to fly into a rage, but he was stopped by Su Junqing. Su Junqing's eyes glanced at the black cloth bag that Bai Songling and the others were carrying. His expression was calm, but his heart was in turmoil. Last night, old Jiang told him to kill O Yongsen and the others outside and asked Lu Yunfei to cooperate. Unexpectedly, not long after old Jiang left, Lu Yunfei suddenly seemed to be possessed and wanted to go to a place to deal with private matters. At that time, he already felt that something was wrong. He didn't expect that something would really happen. Old Jiang was dead, and Lu Yunfei had yet to return. Things were not looking good. He had to think of a way to get rid of this group of people. Yi Jiuge stood at the end of the line, secretly sizing up Su Junqing's expression. Seeing the bewilderment and even madness in his eyes, Yi Jiuge was a little worried that this guy would do something. Sure enough, Su Junqing suddenly asked O Yongsen, "Is the evil cultivator you killed Yi Jiuge?" Yi Jiuge was crowned with a dead name. He really wanted to go up and slap Su Junqing twice. When Luo Tian, Yi Yu, Bai Songling, and Juni Chen heard Su Junqing's words, they were enraged as well. Killing intent surged from their bodies, and it looked like they were about to turn hostile. Yi Jiuge immediately reached out to stop Luo Tian and Yi Yu, then raised his voice and replied to Su Junqing, "It's not Yi Jiuge, it's a male evil cultivator, and he's very good at disguising himself." After that, he pressed Bai Songling down and signaled with his eyes that the overall situation was more important. Su Junqing glanced at Yi Jiuge and the others with suspicion. Yi Jiuge's current appearance was that of an ordinary youth, so he immediately pretended to be timid and avoided Su Junqing's gaze. Yi Yu coldly poked O Yongsen. O Yongsen immediately understood his meaning, so he took a step forward and said, "Your Highness, I'm sorry, but I'm in a hurry to find Grandmaster Dongfang with the evil cultivator's corpse." "Excuse me. Wait." Su Junqing stopped O Yongsen, then said to the crown prince in a righteous manner, "Your Highness, Alchemy City has offered a reward of 1,000 gold taels for capturing evil cultivators. These days, there are many people who, in order to earn the reward, kill ordinary people. This subordinate feels that it's better for you to check." "You're right." The crown prince nodded, then said to O Yongsen, "Bring that evil cultivator's corpse over, this prince wants to check it personally." "Your Royal Highness, we risked our lives to kill this evil cultivator. I'm afraid it's inappropriate for you to take the corpse away with just a few words." Bai Songling had no choice but to lower his voice and pretend to be angry. That's right. Hu Lin quickly stood beside Ouyang's son, raised his head and said, "Our alchemist Ouyang is a rank 2 alchemist, how could he be greedy for this bounty? He could not bear to see the evil cultivators harming people, so he brought us to capture the evil cultivators. Your Highness the Crown Prince has gone too far. Brother Hu is right." Bai Songling really wanted to give Hu Lin a thumbs up. Before, he looked down on Hu Lin's ingratiating and unreasonable personality, but he didn't think that it would be a sharp weapon against the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince's face was gloomy. If it was before, he would not offend a rank 2 pill master in public. But ever since Su Junqing used the evil cultivator to help him kill Yi Jiuge, he had been tied to Su Junqing. For his own great cause, he must protect these evil cultivators. Thinking of this, the Crown Prince immediately raised his voice to O Yongsan, "Pill Master O misunderstood, I have no intention of targeting you. It's just that this evil cultivator is a matter of great importance, we have to act cautiously. If this is really the evil cultivator's corpse, then what's wrong with taking it out to check? That's right, this damned evil cultivator caused chaos in our alchemy city. I also want to see if he really has 3 heads and 6 arms. That's right, evil cultivators have been causing chaos for so long, but this is the first time someone killed them. We should take a good look." "Yes, open it and let us see." The onlookers were very curious, they all asked O Yongsan to open the bag. Yi Jiuge frowned. If Jiang Shengjia's corpse was full of evil qi, it would be fine to open it for the Crown Prince to see. But because she was worried that taking the aura-concealing magic tool out of Jiang Shengjia's body would damage it, she never dug it out. Now that Jiang Shengjia's body was an ordinary spirit practitioner, there was no way to prove that he was an evil cultivator, so naturally, she couldn't take it out for everyone to see. "What, you don't dare to take it out, is there something fishy?" Seeing the situation, the Crown Prince immediately said aggressively. "Your Highness, your words are really funny, why would I play tricks with evil cultivators?" O Yongsan said angrily. "Who knows what you're planning?" The Crown Prince sneered. O Yongsan kept arguing with the Crown Prince to stall for time, while Bai Songling anxiously looked at the distant street. "Strange, why hasn't Wan Xiang come yet, did something happen?" Yi Jiuge also felt strange. Could it be that he set up a trap for Lu Yunfei last night and was injured by her instead? While everyone was in a deadlock, another group of people came from the direction of the alchemy tower. Yi Jiuge thought that it was Wan Xiang, so he looked up and his heart immediately sank. How could it be him? Chapter 183. This group of people was actually Yi Yuxuan. He was wearing an azure alchemist's robe. Behind him were Yi Shanshan and the guards who escorted Yi Jiuge to Alchemy City. When the Crown Prince saw Yi Yuxuan, his eyes immediately lit up and he hurriedly greeted, "Grandmaster Yi, you're here too." Yi Yuxuan came to the Crown Prince's side and looked at Ouyang's son, then said, "Pill Master Ouyang, I heard you killed a heretic outside the city?" "Yes." Ouyang's son nodded, his attitude extremely respectful. As a pill refiner, he could look down on the Crown Prince, but he couldn't look down on the level 5 pill refiner, Yi Yuxuan. "I wonder if Pill Master Ouyang can let me deal with this heretic's corpse. You know, my daughter, Yi Jiuge, was bewitched by a heretic and killed innocent people. She practiced heretic arts and committed a grave mistake. I've been looking for her, this heretic's corpse might give me some clues." Yi Yuxuan said righteously, like a master. However, he had said that in front of so many people, which made Yi Jiuge the scapegoat of the head of the evil cultivators. Ouyang's son didn't say anything. Yi Yu and the others, on the other hand, were furious. Yi Jiuge almost exploded on the spot. If she just wanted to slap Su Junqing, then she wanted to stab Yi Yuxuan now. This scum of a father is really scum. Grandmaster Yi, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. You keep saying that your daughter Yi Jioga practices heretic arts, but do you have any proof? Yi Jioga suppressed her anger and questioned. Humph, it's the first time in my life that I've seen someone hurrying to put the blame on his own daughter. Do you really see Yi Jioga as your daughter? Bai Songling's words were even sharper. Grandmaster Yi frowned, but he didn't fly into a rage like he usually did. In order to maintain his image as a master, he said calmly, "It's because Yi Jioga is my daughter that I can't let her make mistakes again and again. Actually, when she came back from the abyss a while ago, I already noticed something was wrong with her. It's just that I cared about my family and refused to investigate. I didn't expect her to be so deranged, taking advantage of the alchemy competition to harm other spirit pill masters. It's really intolerable." As Yi Yuxuan finished speaking, he felt both pain and regret. His excited expression made it seem as if he was about to faint at any time. That's right. Father couldn't sleep for big sister. He ignored the danger of the heretical cultivators and rushed to Alchemy City in the middle of the night. He wanted to find big sister and persuade her to turn herself in and give the people of the world an explanation. Yi Shanshan supported Yi Yuxuan with a sorrowful expression on her delicate face. The father-daughter duo teamed up to put on a show, causing the surrounding commoners to curse Yi Jioga for being deranged and worse than pigs and dogs. Yi Jioga slowly clenched his fist. "Endure, I will definitely endure." When the truth was revealed, Yi Yuxuan would naturally regret what he had done today. Yi Yuxuan didn't know that his eldest daughter, Yi Jioga, was standing right in front of him. Taking advantage of the crowd's excitement, he once again spoke to Ouyang-san, "Pill Master Ouyang, we all understand your painstaking efforts. Please understand my feelings and let me handle this heretical cultivator's corpse." "That's right, Pill Master Ouyang. Father and I both want to find big sister as soon as possible to prevent her from doing more wrong." Yi Shanshan also chimed in. "That's right." Ouyang-san suddenly felt a bit awkward. He had cooperated with Yi Yu and the others. In fact, he had already guessed that they were chasing after the heretical cultivator to clear Yi Jioga's name. However, Yi Jioga's biological father came here and announced that he wanted to clean up the sect. "Pill Master Ouyang, don't worry. I just want to borrow this heretical cultivator's corpse to take a look. I definitely won't steal your credit." Yi Yuxuan finished speaking and gave Guard Pan a look. Guard Pan nodded in understanding and brought the other guards forward to snatch Jiang Shengjia's corpse from Bai Songling's hands. Bai Songling, Junichen, Luo Tian, Yi Yu, and the others all gathered together as if they were facing a great enemy. It wasn't easy for them to obtain Jiang Shengjia's corpse. They absolutely couldn't give it to anyone else. Just as Guard Pan was about to make his move, a clear and pleasant voice suddenly rang out. "Wait!" Guard Pan was startled. He felt that the voice was somewhat familiar. However, when he looked over, he realized that the person who spoke was an ordinary-looking, skinny young man. Young master!" Bai Songling shouted anxiously. Now was not the time to reveal his true identity. Yi Jioga took a step forward and stood in front of Yi Yuxuan and Yi Shanshan. He said fiercely, "This pair of blind father and daughter are distorting the truth in front of me. If I continue to endure it, I won't be human anymore. Your big sister?" Yi Shanshan finally recognized Yi Jioga's voice. "That's right." Yi Jioga wiped his face with his hand, revealing his beautiful and moving face. The crowd was in an uproar. They didn't expect that the leader of the heretical cultivators, Yi Jioga, would dare to appear in front of them. What was even more unexpected was that this vicious demoness turned out to be a delicate, beautiful, and lovely young girl. "Evil girl, you still dare to appear here?" Yi Yuxuan raised his hand, pointed at Yi Jioga and scolded. "Why can't I appear here?" Yi Jioga sneered and said, "In order to clear my name, I spent a lot of effort to kill a heretical cultivator. I didn't expect that my good father would indiscriminately announce in Shangjing that he and I are no longer father and daughter. Now, you've come all the way here to kill me. I really want to know what benefits the heretical cultivators gave you to push me out to be their scapegoat. What nonsense are you talking about? You're clearly the one who colluded with the heretical cultivators. How dare you splash dirty water on them?" Yi Yuxuan was furious. "If I colluded with the heretical cultivators, why would I kill them?" Yi Jioga asked sharply. "Humph, who knows if you're up to some tricks again." Yi Yuxuan's face was very ugly. Yi Jioga's chest violently heaved up and down. She felt a breath stuck in her chest. She forcefully closed her eyes. After suppressing the pressure, she said to Yi Yuxuan in a hoarse voice, "Father, this is the last time I'll call you that. I know you don't like it, but I didn't know you hate me so much. Such a big thing happened, and you didn't even give me a chance to explain. You just decided that I'm a murderer who committed a heinous crime, and even helped outsiders harm me. Do you really want to force me to death?" Yi Jioga's tears followed her hoarse voice and quietly flowed down her pure white cheeks. Her words were sharp, like a hedgehog with all the spikes on her body, without the slightest bit of weakness. Because of this, her tears seemed so real, so sad, and heartbreaking. Chapter 184. The eyes of the surrounding people, including the ants, young women, and girls, couldn't help but turn red. They couldn't help but think, if it was them, what would it feel like to be accused by their own father in the street, determined that they were a heinous murderer, and wanted to kill them together with outsiders. Many of the more delicate ones even shed tears and looked at Yi Jioga with sympathy. Sigh, how could there be such a cruel father in this world? Yeah, this Yi Jioga looks like he's only a teenager, how could he be the head of the evil cultivators? That's right, if he really is the head of the evil cultivators, how could he dare to appear in front of us like this? Of course, there were also different voices. You can't know a person's face, even if he's young, he can't be the head of the evil cultivators. Even if Yi Jioga is really the head of the evil cultivators, as a father, isn't it even more heinous? That's right, it's the father's fault for not teaching his son. The daughter will come to this point, and the father will not be any better. No matter what, we can't let the child die without even a chance to explain. What if it's really a misunderstanding? Everyone began to discuss. Regardless of whether they agreed that Yi Jioga was the head of the evil cultivators or not, they all agreed that Yi Jioga was wrong, and as a father, he was even more wrong. Yi Yuxuan listened to the discussion in his ears, and his face turned green and white. He originally thought that he would be praised by everyone for putting righteousness before his family, but he didn't expect that someone would put the crime of not teaching his father's fault on his head. However, he couldn't refute it. It was really suffocating. Seeing that the people were discussing, the crown prince was worried that there would be changes if the matter dragged on, so he quickly shouted, "Come, take Yi Jioga, the head of the evil cultivators, and put him in prison." The soldiers behind him immediately surrounded him and were about to take him. Hu Lin had already secretly hidden himself after Yi Jioga revealed his identity. Xia Chunfeng also didn't want to get involved in such a quagmire, so he pulled Yangsen to the side. Su Junqing took the opportunity to quietly sneak to Bai Songling's side. Suddenly, he stretched out his hand to grab the black cloth bag. Bai Songling had long been on guard against a sneak attack. Countless green vines suddenly rose from his body and tightly bound the black cloth bag. Luo Tian, who was standing beside him, threw a punch at Su Junqing and started fighting with him. Yi Yu couldn't sneak into the shadows, so he teamed up with Juni Chen to guard Yi Jioga and deal with the crown prince's bodyguards. Yi Yuxuan was determined to clean up the mess, so he jumped onto the battlefield and personally attacked Yi Jioga. His cultivation was close to the spirit master level, 2 realms higher than Yi Jioga. The wood and fire spiritual energies fused together, revealing a greenish-red color. Once it was unleashed, it emitted surging hot air. Yi Jioga didn't think that his scumbag father would be merciful to him. He immediately pulled out the Thunder Snake illusion whip from his waist and lashed it at Yi Yuxuan. The purple lightning snake collided with the green and red flames, but the purple lightning snake lost. Yi Yuxuan gained the upper hand, but he didn't feel any joy. Instead, he was incomparably shocked. He had never imagined that this useless daughter of his would be so powerful. He was actually able to block his full power attack. Yi Yuxuan's eyes fell on the Thunder Snake illusion whip in Yi Jioga's hand. He was certain that this high-rank spiritual weapon was supporting him. Greed rose in his heart and he didn't hold back anymore. At this time, Bai Songling and the others were also fighting with Su Juanqing's group. The scene was extremely chaotic. Many commoners who were standing nearby were caught in the crossfire and suffered light injuries. Bai Songling retreated to Yi Jioga's side and said, "Miss, we can't go on like this. We should quickly retreat. Let's go." Yi Jioga also didn't want to fight with Yi Yuxuan. If he killed him, he would be charged with patricide. Even if he cleared his name as the head of the evil cultivators, his reputation wouldn't be good in the future. Just when Yi Jioga and the others were about to abandon Jiang Shengjia's corpse and take the opportunity to retreat, a pressure enveloped them, followed by a loud roar. "Who allowed you to fight in Alchemy City?" After saying that, a skinny figure descended. It was the city lord of Alchemy City, a 6th-rank alchemist, Dongfang Yao. Dongfang Yao grabbed Yi Yuxuan, who was in the middle of attacking Yi Jioga, and threw him away. Seeing that the situation wasn't good, Su Juanqing quickly retreated to the crown prince's side. "Royal uncle, you finally came." The crown prince quickly said, "Yi Jioga trespassed into Alchemy City. We were just about to arrest her, hurry up and take her down." Dongfang Yao turned around and coldly stared at the crown prince. "Who gave you the right to arrest someone?" The crown prince was startled and immediately felt a bit embarrassed, but he still braced himself and said, "Yi Jioga is the head of the evil cultivators. Everyone has the right to punish him, so why should I arrest her?" "Who told you that Yi Jioga is the head of the evil cultivators?" Dongfang Yao glared at him and asked. "Isn't this something that everyone knows?" The crown prince spoke as if it was a matter of fact. "Everyone knows? Then why don't I know?" Dongfang Yao's expression sank and he spoke with dissatisfaction. "I don't remember Alchemy City posting a wanted poster for Yi Jioga." "Royal uncle, you've always been in seclusion, so it's normal that you don't know." The crown prince began to feel that something was wrong. "Are you implying that I'm muddle-headed?" Dongfang Yao's expression was very unfriendly. "This nephew doesn't dare." The crown prince quickly shook his head. He knew that his uncle was biased towards Yi Jioga, but he didn't think it would be to this extent. Just as he was about to take out the evidence, he heard Dongfang Yao impatiently say, "If you don't dare, then shut up." "Royal uncle." The crown prince angrily shouted. He really didn't understand. He was the one with the surname Dongfang, so why did his uncle favor Yi Jioga and not put him in his eyes? Dongfang Yao was too lazy to pay attention to his short-sighted, unscrupulous, and evil nephew. He looked at Yi Jioga and said, "I heard you guys killed a heretic cultivator." "That's right, this heretic is an expert in disguise. He peeled off a lot of human skins and used the flesh regrowing technique to fuse them together, then tricked the spirit practitioners participating in the alchemy competition." With that, Yi Jioga waved his hand towards Bai Songling. Bai Songling opened a black bag and poured out Jiang Shengjia's corpse and the skins. The surrounding crowd was in an uproar. Although the rumor of heretic cultivators liking to kill people and skin them had spread like wildfire in Alchemy City, this was the first time the commoners had seen it with their own eyes. With so many skins, everyone was trembling with fear. The crown prince felt his hands and feet go cold. He couldn't help but look at Su Junqing. Su Junqing was quite calm. After all, Jiang Shengjie was already a dead man, so there was no way he would sell him out. He took out a grey disc and placed it on top of Jiang Shengjie's corpse to carefully examine it. This was a magic tool developed by Alchemy City to detect heretic aura, but it didn't react at all. Ecstatic, he quickly told the Crown Prince, "Your Highness, this person doesn't have the slightest bit of heretic aura. He's not a heretic at all." Chapter 185. The Crown Prince hurriedly looked at the grey disc. Seeing that there was no reaction, he immediately became spirited. He glared at Yi Jiuge and scolded arrogantly, "Yi Jiuge, you mixed an ordinary person's corpse with a pile of human skin to pretend to be an evil cultivator. What do you mean by that?" Yi Jiuge couldn't be bothered to explain to the Crown Prince and only said, "He's a heretic cultivator." "Bullshit, do you think I'm blind?" The evil testing disc didn't react at all. After the Crown Prince scolded Yi Jiuge, he turned to Dongfang Yao and said, "Imperial uncle, you've been tricked by Yi Jiuge. She's a liar." Dongfang Yao frowned slightly. After muttering to himself for a moment, he took out a bottle of white liquid and said to the Crown Prince, "This is the evil testing water I made. If this person's body really has evil aura, the water will turn grey." After saying that, he poured some onto Jiang Shengjie's body. The white and transparent potion turned into an extremely light grey color. Dongfang Yao's heart sank. If this person was really a heretical cultivator, then the potion would turn black. The darker the color, the higher the cultivation. "Master Dongfang, this person's corpse has been living with so many human skins, so it's normal for it to be tainted with some evil energy. This kind of change doesn't prove that he's an evil cultivator." No matter what, Yi Yuxuan was a level 5 alchemist, and he had concocted the evil testing water before. "Big sister, even if you want to clear your name, you can't use an innocent person to pretend to be a heretic." Yi Shanshan looked at Yi Jiuge with a pained expression. "You evil girl, you refuse to mend your ways even after repeated admonitions. Today, I'm going to get rid of you." Yi Yuxuan's hand once again lit up with a green and red flame, as if he was going to kill Yi Jiuge at any time. "Wait." Dongfang Yao raised his hand and said sternly, "There's something strange about this evil cultivator's corpse. Apothecary Dongfang, I respect you as a master, but why are you helping Yi Jiuge so many times?" Yi Yuxuan narrowed his eyes and looked at Dongfang Yao suspiciously, as if he suspected that they had some sort of shameful secret. After all, Yi Jiuge's face was very beautiful. Dongfang Yao was originally a straightforward person, so he almost exploded from Yi Yuxuan's gaze. He and Yunwei were of the same generation, but Yi Jiuge still had to call her grandpa. He suspected that the two of them had an ambiguous relationship, which was simply pointing at his nose and scolding him for not being a respectable old man. Yi Jiuge, on the other hand, was indifferent as he coldly said, "I thought that Grandmaster Yi, as a 5th-level alchemist, would be able to see through the mysteries of this corpse, but I didn't expect you to be completely ignorant. I don't know where you got the title of Grandmaster from, you are simply fishing for fame." "Yi Jiuge, do you know who you're talking to?" Yi Yuxuan scolded fiercely. "Of course I know. I'm talking to an ungrateful, heartless scum." Yi Jiuge's words were like knives stabbing into Yi Yuxuan's heart. As soon as these words came out of her mouth, the crowd burst into an uproar. Although Azure Billow Continent didn't pay particular attention to filial piety, it was unheard of for a daughter to insult her father in public. Yi Yuxuan was so angry that his entire body trembled. He really regretted strangling Yi Jiuge to death in her swaddling clothes so that she wouldn't be so infuriating when she grew up. "Well said." Dongfang Yao clapped his hands and praised, "This Yi Yuxuan relied on your father and mother to make a fortune in the past, but now he wants to exterminate you. This kind of father is worse than a beast, you don't need him. Dongfang Yao had been operating in Alchemy City for so many years and was highly respected. He approved of Yi Jiuge's actions. The surrounding commoners immediately changed their tone from condemning Yi Jiuge for being unfilial to praising her for fighting against evil. Yi Jiuge's expression was indifferent. She didn't show any reaction to these discussions. Instead, she turned to Dongfang Yao and said, "Grandmaster Dongfang, this evil cultivator has an artifact that can restrain evil energy inside his body, so your medicine is useless." After she finished speaking, she raised her chin towards Bai Songling. Bai Songling understood and turned Jiang Xingjie over. She took out a sharp knife and cut open the skin on Jiang Xingjie's back, digging out a palm-sized red artifact that was engraved with countless talismans. As soon as the artifact was dug out, Jiang Xingjie's slightly black skin immediately turned white and green. The gray disc in Su Juanqing's hand crazily spun. The medicine that Dongfang Yao poured on Jiang Xingjie's corpse also turned black and gray. He really is an evil cultivator. The surrounding commoners were shocked by this turn of events and began to discuss among themselves. "Let me take a look at this artifact," Dongfang Yao said to Bai Songling. "Wait a moment." Bai Songling tore off the hem of his robe and wiped the blood off the artifact. Hu Lin, who was hiding to the side earlier, came over again. He eagerly took out a water ball and flatteringly said to Bai Songling, "Do you want to wash it again?" "Wash it." Bai Songling had long known that Hu Lin was a coward, so she didn't care about his desertion just now. After washing the artifact clean, Hu Lin casually accepted it and respectfully presented it to Dongfang Yao. Dongfang Yao carefully examined it and infused his spirit energy into it. His expression became a bit heavy. This was a third-rank artifact with a special function that could only be created by a fifth-rank blacksmith. Only the crafting school had fifth-rank blacksmiths. Could it be that the crafting school was in cahoots with the evil cultivators? If that was the case, then it was really troublesome. Dongfang Yao's mind was filled with countless thoughts, but his face didn't show any abnormal expression. After putting away the artifact, he said to Yi Jiuge, "The truth has come to light. Your injustice has finally been cleared. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you, Grandmaster Dongfang, for believing in my innocence." Yi Jiuge solemnly expressed her thanks. She was truly grateful to Dongfang Yao. If Dongfang Yao also believed that she was the head of the evil cultivators like the others, she wouldn't have been able to clear her name so easily. "Even if I don't believe you, I still have to believe Old Man Yun. How could his only granddaughter become a head of evil cultivators? Is being a head of evil cultivators more profitable than being a spirit pill master?" Dongfang Yao laughed. When the others heard this, they couldn't help but laugh out loud as well, all of them discussing, "That's right, our Thunder Country respects spirit masters," followed by alchemists. A spirit alchemist who can cultivate both to the extreme will definitely have a bright future in Thunder Country. Only a fool would want to become the leader of the evil cultivators. "Yi Yuxuan, seeing that your daughter's injustice has been cleared, why do you look so disappointed?" Dongfang Yao changed the topic to Yi Yuxuan, who was standing to the side. "Grandmaster Dongfang really likes to joke. Jiuge is my daughter. How could I be disappointed that she has been cleared of injustice? I can't even be happy for her." Yi Yuxuan forced out a smile. He now deeply regretted listening to Yi Shanshan's instigation and coming to Alchemy City to put justice before family, causing him to lose so much face. Chapter 186. Big Sister, congratulations on recovering your innocence. I'm really happy for you. Seeing that the situation was bad, Yi Shanshan immediately stepped forward and wanted to pull Yi Jiuge's hand. However, Yi Jiuge avoided her hand and said expressionlessly, "That's not what you said earlier. Big Sister, are you still blaming me?" Yi Shanshan had a wronged expression and said tearfully, I was worried about you, so I mistakenly believed the rumors. It's all my fault. Big sister, if you want to blame me, then beat me up to vent your anger. I won't dare to have any complaints. Jioga, your sister is just worried that you'll go astray. Yi Yuxuan said with the dignity of a father, although you've cleared your name this time, if you hadn't acted rashly, you wouldn't have fallen into the evil cultivator's trap so easily. You should take this as a warning and be careful in the future. Grandmaster Yi is right. I will remember your teachings. Yi Jioga looked straight into Yi Yuxuan's eyes and said word by word. Hearing the words Grandmaster Yi, Yi Yuxuan immediately frowned. Although he hated Yi Jioga, if Yi Jioga still went against him in such a situation, it would be a great loss of face for him. Thus, Yi Yuxuan put on a stern face and said, Father misunderstood you this time. It's father's fault. Do you still want to argue with me? Big sister, we're family. Broken bones connect tendons. Father is doing this for your own good. He's worried that you'll go astray, so he hurried over. Actually, he's always been thinking about you. Yi Shanshan's eyes were slightly red and she felt wronged. There's no need to say any more. Grandmaster Ye's words always carry weight. Since you've already posted the Tianxia board and cut off your relationship as father and daughter, there's no need to force yourself to repair it. From now on, we'll go our separate ways. Whether I, Yi Jioga, live or die, has nothing to do with you. Yi Jioga's cold voice wasn't loud, but it clearly reached everyone's ears. The surrounding crowd was silent and looked at Yi Yuxuan with a gloating expression. You deserve it. Who told you to confuse right and wrong, to be heartless and to hurt your daughter's heart? Yi Yuxuan's face was ashen. He had never felt so humiliated in his life. He really wanted to slap Yi Jioga and drag her back to teach her a lesson. Unfortunately, he could only think about it. Yi Jioga didn't care about what Yi Yuxuan was thinking. He turned around and said to Dongfang Yao, Master Dongfang, I still have some matters regarding evil cultivators that I want to discuss with you. How about we go to the medicine refining tower? Sure. Dongfang Yao nodded, then glanced disdainfully at Yi Yuxuan, whose face was as black as the bottom of a pot, then left with Yi Jioga and the others. O Yangsen, Xiaofan Feng, and Hu Lin hurriedly followed. In the blink of an eye, only the Crown Prince, Su Junqing, Yi Yuxuan, and Yi Shanshan were left. Father, big sister is too heartless. How can she cut off our relationship just like that? We are a family. Yi Shanshan's face was anxious and sad, but in fact, she wanted to take the opportunity to give Yi Yuxuan a hard time. However, Yi Yuxuan's face was ashen. He glared at her fiercely and scolded, You're a useless thing. With that, he flicked his sleeves and left. Yi Shanshan wanted to chase after him, but she felt that it was too unsightly, so she stopped and looked at the Crown Prince with an aggrieved expression. The reason why she wrote a letter to encourage her father to clean up the family was also because of the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince's face was flushed red. He didn't notice Yi Shanshan's expression at all. His ears were filled with the voices of the common people, as if they were saying how incompetent he was. He really couldn't understand. Yi Jioga had clearly been forced into a desperate situation by them, so how could he turn the tables so easily? Crown Prince, let's go back. Su Junqing said in a low voice, at a time like this, we have to keep our composure. Let's go. The Crown Prince turned around and led his people back to the medicine refining building. Yi Shanshan hurriedly followed the Crown Prince back to the medicine refining building's rising sky pavilion. She originally wanted to discuss with the Crown Prince what to do next. Unexpectedly, the Crown Prince didn't have the time to pay attention to her. He went to the study with Su Junqing and even had people guard the door, preventing her from entering. At this moment, Yi Shanshan's mood was ashamed, angry, and hateful. The Crown Prince was her good match, and Su Junqing was her cousin. These two people should be very close to her, but they both rejected her at the same time, making her deeply feel that she was not trusted. Unfortunately, she didn't have the courage to rush into the study and cause a ruckus. She could only leave indignantly. The crown prince lost his temper in the study. He pointed at Su Junqing and cursed, "Su Junqing, what the hell are you doing? Didn't you say that Yi Jiuge is dead for sure? But now, she's the hero who killed the heretic cultivator and the imperial uncle favors her. I'm the clown, the biggest joke of the Thunder Country. Crown Prince, please quell your anger. Yi Jiuge's name is only temporarily cleared, and it won't affect our grand plan much. The Thunder Country side is more or less done, and the throne will belong to you. Why must you waste so much effort on Yi Jiuge?" Su Junqing calmly persuaded. "Really? The arrangements in the capital are more or less done." The crown prince's eyes brightened. "That's right. Once the matter with Alchemy City is over, you will become the next emperor of the Thunder Country." Su Junqing spoke without hesitation. "Good, good, good. As long as you work well for me, I won't mistreat you." The crown prince excitedly patted Su Junqing's shoulder with a face full of satisfaction. "Thank you for your appreciation, Your Highness. This subordinate will go now." Su Junqing smiled in a flattering manner. "Go." The crown prince waved his hand in satisfaction. Su Junqing respectfully bowed before returning to his room. His face, which was full of confidence just a moment ago, immediately became anxious and uneasy. He took out a communication talisman and sent a message, "Senior, old Jiang is dead. Come back as soon as you hear the news." After burning the communication talisman, he was still worried. He walked around the room a few times, and after thinking for a while, he took out some ointment to disguise himself as a handsome middle-aged man. He went to the medicine refining pavilion and told the guard that he wanted to see Zhangpeng. "May I ask who you are?" The guard looked at Su Junqing in confusion. "I am his father." Su Junqing smiled. "So it is Uncle Zhang. Please wait a moment, I will call someone over." The guard's expression immediately became one of flattery. Zhangpeng was the third most important person in the alchemy pavilion, second only to Li Zijuan. After a while, a young man in white with regular features walked out. When he saw Su Junqing, he said eagerly, "Father, how come you have the time to look for me?" "I was just passing by, so I came to see you." Su Junqing kindly replied. "Father, come sit here." Zhangpeng brought Su Junqing to a secluded place before whispering, "The situation is so tense right now, why did you come to see me?" Chapter 187. I had no choice. It was an emergency, so I had to find you. Do you know what Yi Jiuge said to Dongfang Yao when he returned? Su Junqing asked. He had spent a lot of effort, money, and spells to win over Zhangpeng. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he didn't want to use this chess piece. But now that old Jiang was killed and Lu Yunfei was missing, he was a little anxious. They are still discussing in the tea room. Aside from Li Zijuan, no one else can enter. Zhangpeng's handsome face flashed with jealousy when he mentioned Li Zijuan. He believed that whether it was cultivation, character, or alchemy skills, he was no worse than Li Zijuan. However, Grandmaster Dongfang favored Li Zijuan. Not only did he accept him as his last disciple, but he also handed over all matters of the alchemy pavilion to him. Zhangpeng had stayed in the pavilion for more than 20 years and put in a lot of effort, but he was still an honorary disciple. He would forever be below Li Zijuan. He couldn't accept this. As long as you investigate their next move, Li Zijuan won't live for long. At that time, you will be the first disciple of the alchemy pavilion. Su Junqing tempted him. He had made use of Zhang Peng's hatred towards Li Zijuan to win him over. Okay, I will inform you if there is any news. Zhang Peng nodded and returned to the pavilion. At this time, Yi Jiuge, Dongfang Yao, and Li Zijuan were sitting in the tea room, discussing how to deal with bloodthirst. She told Dongfang Yao and Li Zijuan all the information she knew about bloodthirsty sect, including the methods they often used. According to you, bloodthirst is stirring up trouble in Alchemy City because he wants to use me as a bait? Dongfang Yao raised his brows. Yes. Yi Jiuge nodded. This bloodthirst is quite daring. Dongfang Yao sneered. He had been famous for a long time and was a top character in the Thunder Nation. Now, he was being used as a bait by a heretical cultivator. This was a great insult to him. This bloodthirst is ruthless and has many tricks up his sleeves. Grandmaster Dongfang, you must not be careless. Yi Jiuge solemnly advised. Humph, if he came here personally, I would be a little afraid. But he wants to take me down by sending a few evil cultivators. He's looking down on me too much. Dongfang Yao was truly enraged. He turned to Li Zijuan and said, pass down my orders. Offer a reward of 1,000 gold coins for any clues leading to the heretical cultivators and 10,000 words for their heads. Then, send out all the guards of Alchemy City. We must find the bloodthirsty sect's heretical cultivators and kill them all. Yes. Li Zijuan nodded, then asked hesitantly, what about the Crown Prince and Su Junqing? Don't touch them yet. Send someone to keep an eye on them. After I eradicate the remnants of the bloodthirsty sect, I will personally send Dongfang Jianming, this blind fool, back to Shangjing to be punished by his father, Dongfang Yao said fiercely. How did their Dongfang family produce such a muddle-headed thing? He actually mixed with evil cultivators. He must be tired of living. I understand. Li Zijuan nodded solemnly. Yi Jiuge frowned and disagreed. Grandmaster, Su Junqing is a sinister and cunning person with many tricks up his sleeve. I'm afraid it's not good to leave him alone. I think it's better to lock him up first. It would be even better if they could immediately announce Su Junqing's identity as a heretical cultivator. That way, they wouldn't have to worry about him using the bewitching art again. I know what to do. You don't need to say anything more. Dongfang Yao shook his head. The Su family had deep roots in Shangjing and was deeply involved with the Crown Prince. If they rashly captured Su Junqing, he was afraid that the Crown Prince would be dragged into this. No matter how hateful the Crown Prince was, he was still a member of the Dongfang family. If the scandal of him colluding with heretical cultivators was exposed, it would have a great impact on the Dongfang family and might even shake the hearts of the people. As a member of the Dongfang family, he had to think more about the family. Yi Jiuge saw that Dongfang Yao had already said this much and didn't say anything else. Instead, he asked Li Zijuan about the matter of trapping Lu Yunfei. Senior apprentice Brother Li, you made such a thorough plan last night. How did Brother One get injured? Last night, we used the treasure-seeking scorpion that you gave us to lure Lu Yunfei over. However, that woman was indeed powerful. She killed many of our people and injured Brother Wan. In the end, we couldn't stop her and even the treasure-seeking scorpion was stolen by her. Li Zijuan lowered his head and said in shame. It was because of this that he invited his master out and let his master personally take charge of the situation. Lu Yunfei is the direct disciple of the bloodthirsty ancestor. She has many treasures on her. It's normal that you didn't check the corpse. Yi Jiuge comforted him with good intentions. Normal my ass. Dongfang Yao glared at Li Zijuan and scolded, what did I tell you before? Don't just bury yourself in cultivating alchemy all day. You also need to take care of your spiritual techniques. Last night, if it wasn't for Wan Xiang blocking a palm for you, you would have lost your life. Don't think that you can protect yourself just because you have a lot of spirit guards around you. In this world, only relying on yourself is the safest. Master is right. This disciple knows his mistake. Li Zijuan hurriedly bowed in acknowledgement. In the past, he always thought that if he cultivated his alchemy techniques well, he wouldn't have to worry about his safety if he hired more guards. But after the big battle last night, those guards couldn't even take care of themselves. Only then did he realize how important cultivation was. I'll go see Brother Wan first. Yi Jiuge didn't want to listen to Dongfang Yao scold his disciple, so he stood up and said his goodbyes. I'll send someone to bring you there. Li Zijuan stood up and opened the door. Just as he was about to call for an apprentice, he saw Zhang Peng walking past him and took the initiative to ask, "Senior Brotherly, what's the matter?" "I want to find an apprentice to bring Miss Yi to the extraordinary pavilion to see Wan Xiang," Li Zijuan said casually. "I'm about to go to the extraordinary pavilion. If Miss Yi doesn't mind, let me lead the way." Zhang Peng smiled. "Then I'll have to trouble you." Yi Jiuge didn't think too much and followed Zhang Peng to the extraordinary pavilion. "Miss, you've been wrong this time. I told them that Grandmaster Yun's granddaughter couldn't be a leader of evil cultivators, but they didn't believe me. Luckily, you've cleared your name," Zhang Peng said indignantly. "It's all thanks to Grandmaster Dongfang's wisdom," Yi Jiuge replied indifferently. Although Zhang Peng was handsome, she inexplicably didn't like him. Grandmaster Dongfang was in seclusion and didn't have time. Now that he's come out to take charge of the situation, he'll definitely bring those arrogant evil cultivators to justice. When that time comes, I'll need Miss Ye's help. Zhang Peng continued with a smile, but his tone was full of probing. "I don't dare. I'm just a weak woman. I don't dare to take on such a heavy responsibility." Yi Jiuge shook her head weakly. "Miss Yi, you're too humble. You're the first person to kill an evil cultivator. I heard that those evil cultivators are very cruel. Miss Yi, you must have spent a lot of effort." Zhang Peng's topic revolved around the evil cultivators. He wanted to get some information from Yi Jiuge. Unfortunately, Yi Jiuge's mouth was tightly sealed. In the end, it was just polite words. "You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.